Captain America could be like legitimately the grandpa of the Avengers, though. He's from the 1940s. He lived that life.
Dude, Austin Powers, Captain America crossover. They've both been frozen. I want to see it.
Yeah, amazingly terrible.
Oh, it's really good.
It's really, really good.
Austin's shooting that like little tiny gun, and Captain America's holding the vibranium shield in front of him.
Welcome to the Roundtable Podcast. It's episode 11. We never even really acknowledged that we had gotten into the double digits last time, so double digits celebration. Hooray!
Double digits don't matter anymore.
They're the most
I
important
try to
double
forget
digits.
that I do this every couple weeks.
Don't lie to me. It's your favorite part.
think it's
You
important.
message me on Skype every 48 hours and say, when's the next roundtable?
You're telling me I message you on Skype every 48 hours when 90% of the time I don't read Skype.
Yeah, that's
Message Ryan
valid.
on Skype every time he records Isaac.
That's very true.
So you message somebody.
We make a
it
point
doesn't-
of it.
It didn't. You tweeted out that it doesn't slow your game down anymore, so you don't even know.
Now it's weird. It slows it down for like a second, and then it comes right back. So I don't even have to sign out of Skype anymore. But I
Nice.
noticed, like, I'll be fighting an enemy, and the frame will drop for like, or the frames will drop for like a quarter of a second, and I'm like, I bet I have a Skype message.
Well, that's how he kept the streak. He coordinated with Mathis and he slows down when shit gets hard.
Ooh,
True.
See, this
I'm
is
like,
the-
Mattis, I think I'm going to be fighting a Mullaboom at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Send me a Skype message.
See,
I got your back, homie.
Well, come on, you
That-
screen share with me so I know when it's gonna happen.
Oh, yes. And then you play as well.
Oh yeah, I play at the same
I
time.
just have you play. You're the invisible co-op, baby.
Yeah, if you guys still think Ryan's playing his own games on his channel, you guys don't understand YouTube at all. That's
I
not how it works.
have not touched a video game since 2012. Also, I'm not Ryan. This is one of many lookalikes that has been hired to keep the channel alive while he's gallivanting.
This is actually me right now.
Because
You're
you're
wearing
a-
my shirt. We're shirt.
This is
twins.
your shirt?
Yeah. Well, I'm not wearing it right now, shockingly, but I have that shirt.
You have some kind of monopoly on navy blue shirts?
The ones with collars, if you don't
That
mind.
is absurd.
See you wearing a yellow shirt underneath. That would really complement the rest of our ensemble.
Our
I'm
ensemble?
literally asking you to take your shirt off right here the
We're
first
all
time
over
over the
the
podcast.
No, because I shaved for the first time in like a week, and then I realized that my yellow shirt blended in with my face a little bit in this lighting. It was very strange. So
Bro, you got that magical power of being able to like change.
I don't anymore, I think, because the green screen fell down.
Oh yeah,
So
that's true.
the lighting's
It
different
fell
now.
like that sounds like a tragedy.
Oh,
How
it's-
did it fall?
It was taped up there, so you
The
know, the tape
fall
came
of the
out.
green screen.
I thought we were gonna have like a cat story, like Tomo tried to climb it or something. Nah, Tomo's too lazy to
Yeah,
climb anything.
kitties.
Ryuka,
Ryuka.
Just
whatever. Ruka, whatever.
Do like two
One of
O's.
those names.
Anywho, we're going to be doing E3 recap today. It's like a week and a half beyond E3, so hopefully everyone's had the time to properly digest stuff. If you want us to become more relevant and topical, perhaps consider making a contribution on patreon.com/roundtable. But we will be doing the E3 recap today. We're going to be going all the way through the order of the major conferences, starting with Bethesda all the way through Nintendo. And then the couple of games we're going to be discussing today are You Must Build a Boat and Enter the Gungeon, as well as maybe a brief touch on this is a little like indie title called Arkham Knight or something like that. I think they're trying to do another Batman game. It's weird.
Weird.
So we'll talk about that.
Batman's over.
Well,
It's
it's
done.
a shitty origin story anyway.
Yeah, no kidding. I bet Batman the Sixth Avenger is on its
That
way
was
out,
last
too.
year. Come on, that was
Seen
Batman
Avenger yet?
Origins. Remember?
Batman
Arkham Knight.
Origins was
What
real?
about Ardman Early Morning? Artman.
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 Oh, I rarely see you look down to the floor in defeat after a failed joke, but I...
That could be a really cool like Devolver action game.
yeah,
Artman.
Artman.
Artman 6:30 a.m.
We've actually got that to talk about with Sony. They got that weird-ass art game with the motion controls, but...
The media
That'll be
molecule.
later. Yeah, the media molecule.
Yeah,
It's
all
not
kinds
a
of
mouthful.
It's like difficult. But we start with Bethesda.
We do start with Bethesda. Doom is coming back for Bethesda. That's the big news out of Bethesda for this year's E3.
Yeah, it is.
Is that
It has
Doom is making a return.
Weird execution moves now, which I'm not sure how I feel about, but it looks solid.
Looks like a fast-paced shooter, which I'm down with.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
it's
never a
been-
huge Doom fan, to be honest. So.
Yeah.
I was.
It's been 11 years since Doom 3.
Yeah.
Holy
Wow, has it been that long?
shit, it's been
Original
a long time.
Doom came out in like 1993.
Okay, so it So the Doom reboot came out right at the end of like the original Xbox, right?
Somewhere
Because it
around
came out
there,
on that,
yeah.
and then they also ported it later with the the BFG edition, and there was an expansion
I'm
pack.
sorry. My mistake. Doom 3 was not the last Doom.
Oh,
well,
was it?
Doom
Okay, so
3
Doom-
BFG edition was like
Which is-
2012.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that was just the game again. With,
Yeah.
Yeah. Doom,
better stuff.
so there was another Doom after that.
No,
No.
Okay, so
No.
Doom 3 was the
Between
last.
then and
Yeah.
now, yeah, I think that was.
So Doom
the
3
gap.
originally launched on August 3rd, 2004.
Yeah.
but there was an expansion pack as well, which I
Okay.
believe
Oh,
would be
it
the
doesn't count.
last content then.
When you come out with an expansion pack 8 years later.
Really, what
I
we should
remember-
relate it to is Doom the film came out in 2005, so we've been waiting
was
for the
Carl
spiritual
Urban.
successor to that.
Someone leaked me a clip of Doom the movie, and I've never seen it. And they had dubbed it over. They didn't do it, but the person that made the video dubbed it over with like this shitty kind of like terrible music. And the film was so bad that it took me about 2.5 minutes to realize that was not the actual soundtrack of the movie. At first, I was like offended. I was like, "Oh, this is awful. What were we thinking like 10 years ago?" And then I was like, "Oh, okay, they added this in post, but still, this is
still bad.
awful."
An actual notable element of the Doom information that we've been presented, though, is the fact that they will have a kind of modding pack available within the game. I think they're calling it, what are they calling it? They're calling it Snap Map, which is a catchy name. Going to allow people to, edit in and share their own arenas with folks. So that's pretty neat.
That's huge for me. That's how I got started in being interested in all like the back end modding stuff, was dealing with Doom originally, Doom and Marathon, and then eventually Duke Nukem. So like this is a big deal to me. I hope it doesn't end up being as brown as it looked in the trailer, because they put a filter over the whole thing, kind of the way they did with Deus Ex with gold. And I saw somebody on a bunch of different websites, they had this picture that was like comparing with the filter, without it, and without it looked so much better. But
Well,
if
yeah,
there's
well,
modding,
before it's all these like vibrant neon colors, like pastel pinks and greens, and then they
Gotta
put an
cut that out.
Instagram filter over it before they go gold.
it was like monochrome brown almost. But
Mm.
I hope they get rid of that.
You tweeted something pretty recently showing off like the very detailed, intricate lists of things that you would map out when you're trying to mod stuff for Meat Boy.
Oh yeah, I got the shirt on too.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Hey, I got that shirt.
It's a good shirt.
We're all being
yeah,
shirt twins today.
I had this big old list when I was working on my last Meat Boy chapter that never actually got published, and it was like how I wanted the flow to go of the challenge. So it was like introducing different mechanics and then expanding on those mechanics. I got kind of down the rabbit hole of that.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
man.
Yeah.
That's
Pretty sick.
that is a man who, were he not able to find a successful niche within the media crowd, may very
Yeah.
well have ended up making
Oh, level
levels and
design would
such.
be super down my my
Mhm.
forte.
You can
if that's
still
the
do
thing.
it, man. You can totally
Yeah.
do it.
I hope so.
Apparently, an Elder Scrolls card game is coming around as well. The Elder Scrolls Legends.
I'm all in.
Are you?
I perhaps surprisingly, I played a lot of Hearthstone until I burned out on it.
Oh,
which is
really? I
fairly
didn't know
normal. Back in the beta of like October 2013, I was
That's how you got famous.
Yeah, that was back when
That's-
Hearthstone
yeah,
was
they-
blowing people up, right?
that was when it was like people were like messaging everybody on Skype, like, "Yo, you got an invite code?
Yeah.
You got an
Yeah.
invite code to
No,
Hearthstone?"
I will straight
Yep.
up suck your dick to play Hearthstone.
And yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. I kind of fell away because I forget who said it. It might have been you that said like following the Hearthstone meta is like a part-time job now because of the speed at which it moves. But I've been playing some Gwent, and I'm totally into a fantasy-themed card game if it's not shitty. I can't be cynical about it. I've never played really any of the Elder Scrolls games except for a few hours of Skyrim, but if it's good, I'm into it. I don't really care. I never played WoW either, and I loved Hearthstone, so...
I think Gwent was really just such a grassroots movement to see whether or not people are interested in a genuine competitor to Hearthstone at this stage, and that's working. It's not true at all, but that I want it to
But
be.
imagine if it was that they use this to like test market their next idea for a game, like within another game. That would be pretty sweet.
Dude, I would not be surprised before Cyberpunk comes out to have CD Projekt Red make a Witcher-themed Gwent, like $10, $15 game on Steam.
Wouldn't
I
be a
would buy
bad
it.
idea, sure.
I want a physical. I want a physical.
I was gonna say, I think we talked
okay.
about this when we were talking about The Witcher 3, is that they're planning on making physical copies of the Gwent cards. I don't know though if it's even really like a great game outside of the game. To be honest, I've been thinking about that a little bit.
I feel like that sometimes.
Like
Still, I would still buy it because it would be cool to have.
I like how it is in the game because it's the most blatant pay to win of all time, because literally like the better cards you have, you just fill your deck. There's no sorts of limits for like putting in legendaries or heroes or what are they called in Gwentstone. Gwentstone. Oh no. Oh god.
Nice. That's a merger.
What did I do? That was a fucking Freudian slip. Yeah, it's like Gwent, you get the best cards you can, and then you have nothing but 10s and medic 12s that come in and just completely dominate. I don't know how well it would work as a physical card game, because it's just, no one's ever going to put in one attack fucking poor infantry or whatever that is. Like, no one's going to use those, so I don't know.
Yeah, you really learn the true nature of Gwent when you, like, don't play for a while, then you go up against somebody in the, like, second act or something like that, and you're like, okay, here's my, like, 4 archer, and they're like, okay, 15 archer.
15 archer that fucks your 4 archer right in the butt.
Puts your 4 archer onto his side.
Oh, Jesus.
Takes all the cards out of your hand and just shits on your face. Well, yeah, Elder Scrolls card game is apparently coming around. Not a lot of information about it, but it apparently is going to exist. Dishonored sequel also coming around. Dishonored 2.
I'm all in.
I'm ready
you said
for
that
Dishonored.
before. I don't know if I believe you this time, though.
The only reason I actually did play like 3 or 4 hours of Dishonored 1. The only reason I didn't play more is because it came out the same day as XCOM Enemy Unknown.
Yeah.
Which sucked up like a ton of my life. And the day after XCOM Enemy Unknown came out, I went on a family vacation for like a week. And then I came back, and 3 days later, I moved across the country to Vancouver. So it was like, the whole time I was like, I really want to make time to play Dishonored, but it just never happened. Dishonored 2 seems like I'm in. I want to get in on the ground floor.
My only hope for Dishonored 2 is that they changed the morality system a little bit, because it punished you for playing the way you wanted to play, in a way. If you played super violently or wanted to kill people instead of like knock them out,
there was
you just
very
automatically
blatantly
got-
a correct way to do it. Yeah,
Doesn't
I
that
agree.
I
would like
hate that.
immoral though?
But the game, like, a lot of the game's powers encouraged you to be like a very powerful, very silent killer. And if you went around silently killing people, you got the ending was poor for you. So I didn't like that.
Yeah, I don't like when games have like an ending that is better because you were a better person. Like Knights of the Old Republic had that great system where like the light side endings were good, but the dark side endings were also badass. And you're like, okay, this is
like
not a punishment. You're like rewarded for playing extremely in the direction you wanted to.
I'm not saying like make it like rainbows and puppies endings, but don't be like you suck at the end. Be like, all right, Jesus.
You're not wrong. It was really pretty awful. Like, well, way to fuck shit up all the entire time
You're
you
like,
played this game. Jeez.
It's like, don't give me powers that
terrible.
let me murder people then, because that's what I want to do.
I'm liking this a lot. Dishonored was just a freaking gem. I really enjoyed it, despite the morality thing is definitely a weird point of interest. But Dishonored, I think, it's not exactly like I can say it flew under the radar, because it was obviously pretty critically well received and probably did well financially too. But I think it definitely deserves to be an IP that is expanded upon. I'd like to see this become a trilogy, as these things tend to do, and I like this a lot. Up until it gets to have 6 iterations of it, and then we all get to shit on it.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
well, to be fair, it has been 3 years since Dishonored 1 came out, which it seems like pretty reasonable. That's the time between Avengers films.
Yeah.
So seems
That's the
reasonable
staple.
to me.
No, I appreciate it. I actually missed the boat on that game as well. I thought it looked really good, but I never got around to playing it. I watched BizSnap speedrun it a lot, so that was fun.
So you
Seemed cool.
ruined it for yourself.
Yeah, pretty much ruined it for myself. Actually. Yep.
You don't get to see like 75% of the game with his routes, though, man. It's crazy.
I know.
Just skipping through.
So maybe I
everything.
haven't ruined it for myself. I don't know.
Wall clipping and whatnot. He's a cheater.
It's a lot of flying up to ledges and picking up stuff through walls.
I don't even understand why you would watch someone play a game. Is personally for me, it's like
It
Why
took me
wouldn't
half a second to realize you were.
Yeah, me too.
why wouldn't you just
What?
play it for yourself if you're just gonna watch somebody play a game?
No kidding.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, let's
I'm
just
an
play-
adult with a limited amount of time. it doesn't make sense to me why I would waste some of it watching someone play a game.
And I feel like I need to explain this in a very lengthy comment to make everyone agree with me and be on my side.
Exactly.
I need to
EA
waste more of
an
my
audience.
time.
Speaking of wasting my time, a Fallout mobile game. It's called
You're
Fallout
gonna say
Shelter.
Battle Cry. All right, fair enough.
Fallout Shelter apparently has been grabbing people by the haunches and never letting go. Although it's basically just an ad for Fallout 4 when you think about it, but still,
It's a pretty meaningful ad, though. There's quite a bit of content there.
No, yeah, it's not. They didn't just phone it in. That's for sure. They put some heart and soul into this. But
Have you guys played it?
A little bit.
No, I have Android, so.
Okay, so me and Bear have played it.
Yeah, just a touch, just a little touch.
It was pretty sweet how they were like, hey, all this stuff about this other game, and you can get this now.
Mm-hmm.
And then there it is, and then you get it.
Well,
It was
Fallout
like
4 on
10%.
top of that, they're one of the very few games that people are hyped up about that is actually coming out this year, later this year on November 10th for Fallout 4. I guess we can talk about that
So they
now.
announced Fallout 4 then, you're saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the rumor.
That's a
but-
footnote.
That's the footnote.
Did you hear about Doom, though? Come on, man, Doom. Fallout 4 is
Whetstone,
coming out
though.
November 10th. We've kind of touched on this a little bit. There's not a ton more information at the moment, apart from the fact that you can buy your own giant-ass plastic watch if you'd like.
It's got a second screen experience. You can put your phone in it, and you can use it to look at your inventory and stuff, which is pretty sweet.
To play Fallout Shelter, really.
I have a question for people who have played Fallout before, which is all of you. Fallout 4 has a crafting and building system
Yeah.
in it that they showed off. You can build houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's new.
Does that excite you? Is that
lot.
interesting?
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
what it sounds like is you're going to be able to build up your own settlements and stuff, and NPCs are going to show up, and you're going to be able to have Brahmin caravans going between your settlements if you do multiple settlements and stuff. That sounds really cool. You can also just ignore the shit out of it. Todd Howard said too, which is also
Like,
nice.
use the sentence "ignore the shit out of it" because that makes me really happy.
I wish he did.
He's like, this is for those Minecraft fuckboys. We put this in here. Corporate said we had to have it. I guess the way you described it to me sounds like Terraria, in a way, building up your house so that NPCs can show up. And I remember that being kind of cool. You'd be like, oh, I have to put a chair and a table and a bottle on the table in this one to get the alchemist or whatever. But in my head, I was like, oh, this is not that I think it's a bad game necessarily, but this is the forest, and I'm like, I don't want to fuck around building these log cabins.
I don't think it's going to be the forest levels of tedium. I hope not, anyway. We won't know until it happens. But I'm excited for it personally because I like the idea of, like you said, Terraria was fun. I enjoyed doing it for Terraria, and it sounds like it'll be more Terraria-esque, and you get raided by raiders and shit, and that'll be fun. I think it'll be a good time.
I think it lets you leave sort of a lasting impact on the world, which was one of my few complaints about Fallout 3 was that a lot of it was somewhat static. Granted, you can loot every freaking item in the game, and that lets you clear out areas, but you could never really just build a thing and have it be yours. I mean, you could make your apartment, kind of. You could put some stuff around on the shelves, but for the most part, everything goes in a locker. This way, you actually can build up some actual structures and have a little bit of customizability there.
I like that from what I've seen, it isn't just, gather 5 planks of wood and 2 boulders and build a bank. That's not really how it works. You have to kind of lay the foundation of a proper building. So you have to gather wood and resources and then lay an actual infrastructure and just build piece by piece to make, suitable fortifications. But I'm always sort of skeptical about this sort of stuff, too, especially when it's not really the focal point of the game. It's just sort of seems like an afterthought the majority of the time. Things like, I don't know if this is even the most apt comparison, but something like the Fable series where you can go around and, buy all
houses.
these buildings and, kind of develop an economy around that, where really it seems kind of like a fun little gimmick at first, but then it just becomes completely forgettable and it doesn't even really make an impact on the rest of the game. So I just sort of expect that to be the case with things like this. You're giving me a really
possible,
resonatingly skeptical look about what I'm
No,
saying.
no, no.
Fable.
Are you seeing this shit? You ready?
Oh. You found a new way. Sorry again, audio listeners.
Okay.
You're missing out on the magic one more time. We have to do this every time.
It changes from a light red peach to a yellow.
I much prefer this. This makes it look like I'm alive and well. This
That's
is
very
this is the
daunting.
Fallout. But yeah, at first I was like, man, I look really sick on the video today. And then this look. Oh no! Stop.
Oh no. Oh
we're
god,
not.
it's like when you sit too close to the TV for too long, you're gonna be permanently ill-faced.
It's just jaundice though.
Oh no.
So
You could wear your yellow
Okay.
shirt if you kept it like that, though.
I think it's stuck now in the wrong direction.
Shit.
You broke it.
This is the Fallout 3 filter that's on right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Anyway,
Hello, traveler.
yeah, it's I want it to be awesome, and I like what I said. I like that it seems to be kind of focused around the fact that you're not just going to be able to build a fucking Tudor manor out of some sticks that you found down by the creek. You can just make a foundation out of stuff that you get and hopefully build something to your liking. So looks kind of neat, but I ultimately think it will just be forgettable once.
But what about the
it comes
crafting
around.
system? That's going to be a much bigger thing.
I'm
I've
excited
spent
for the crafting system. Yeah.
hours and hours hoarding meaningless objects just to have cleared out all the areas. Now you can break them down into little bits, use them to power up your weapons and armor. That seems awesome to me. Really customizing your weapons and stuff. I'm for it.
I guess I'm just not the kind of guy who gets excited about spending more time in my inventory. And I don't mean to say it
I
very
do.
condescendingly like that, but I don't really get on board with that stuff.
I'm excited about it. I think probably for the similar reasons to Nick, because it kind of makes your character a little bit more your own.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I
mean-
like doing it.
In 3, there was like,
Crafting-
get good power armor. Done.
Yeah.
We talked about this in the past 2 or 3 podcasts at least. Ignore the vacuum outside. They're cleaning the hallways. But my brain does not wrap itself around crafting very well. In The Witcher 3, I have no idea how to make anything. What I need, and the same with Dragon Age Inquisition, it took me like 80 hours, and I only played 30, so I'm not there yet, to figure out how to make anything in that game. Basically, I had to ask on Twitter. I was like, can someone walk me through the crafting system? I need, like, Terraria. I need this to be 3D
need a
Terraria.
guide.
Where, yeah, basically it's like, here's what you can make, and here's the intermediate steps, and you can just click on one, and then it'll pass through all the intermediate steps. So if it works like that, I'm fine with it. But by and large, I am super sick of crafting. I have faith in them that they can make it not shitty.
It's
probably
pronounced
just avoid it.
Terraria, by the way. You
Oh,
Terraria.
Open that up.
Terraria.
Terraria. Terraria is getting a new update too.
Yeah, as good as The Witcher 3 is,
Let's
I think the
play incoming.
crafting system is really just not that great, especially considering the fact that you can't even really organize the items that you have. It really is lacking in that respect, so The Witcher 3 didn't really do the greatest job of it. I'm trying to think of really, like, a crafting system that I've really enjoyed in a game recently.
Fucking like Diablo 1, where they just drop weapons. That's my favorite kind of crafting. It's like, oh, somebody crafted this in the long distant past, and now it belongs to me. And I just look at the stats, and I'm like, it's better. And I throw out my earlier sword.
It makes a point of saying, hey, look, this wasn't your responsibility to find the
Yeah.
resources for and make from scratch. Well done. Good on
And
you.
Green arrows. This is good.
Exactly, yeah. This is how it'll do. Not even, I don't want the arrows. I just want, like, the damage.
You
Like,
want the plus number.
exactly. I'll be like, oh, +8? That's pretty good.
Would
that how you
literally
play Dark
be
Souls?
better off just not having any other stats. I want damage and I want health.
Yeah,
That's
don't even
all
tell me
I
what
need.
they are. Just tell me if they're better or worse.
Call them DNH.
Don't even give me a weapon. Just have me stand next to the enemy, and then we'll trade hits, like, mentally.
Oh, yeah. And then one of you will just die.
Exactly.
I don't even want
care
to
what
play the
weapon.
game.
My principal problem with crafting, and I recognize that it's not an unpopular opinion, but it's also not necessarily the majority opinion, is that it makes my inventory unusable. Because for me, when I play like a new RPG, I have no idea what driftwood makes, or like lynch fern, or, you know, wild bush, you know, like it makes no difference in my head.
Gosh.
Ether, like I don't know what these do, and I go to my inventory, I'm like, oh, I got 80 ether. Like, what do I? Can I sell you my ether? And then people, oh, never sell your ether. You know, you use that to imbue your armor with special powers. And I'm like,
It
oh,
doesn't
okay.
matter what you do. Whatever you did was the wrong thing.
Exactly.
You know that already.
So it makes the inventory less meaningful to me. It just becomes a sack of shit that I'm like, this is the shit I'm comfortable selling, and this is the shit I have no idea about, so I'm going to keep forever, which is going to hamper my experience.
Yo, you ever find some motherfucking Nirnroot, though?
Shit's
Nirnroot's where
pretty
it's
common,
at,
though.
man. You should just be able to smoke Nirnroot. I wish you could do that. I'd get a much better time out of that.
It should just be a dialogue option for anything you pick up. Just smoke
Just
this
smoke
item.
it. I think The Witcher 3, if I could wander around, I mean, we even talked about this, how much it's
Mod it.
bullshit to have to run around and pick flowers near the riverbed every time, but if you could take an option to see what would happen if you smoked that celandine, You don't know what's gonna happen from that, man. Like, you get drunk, you might as well get like hallucinogenic trips, right?
Smoke that
Maybe.
Griffin head.
Yeah.
I want to see like Garrett holding a sword, and then you just hit smoke it, and he's like, "Well, I guess."
Use a
Garrett,
blowtorch to make it orange.
I don't remember seeing Garrett. Is he in the
Geralt.
character? Geralt.
Gerald.
Okay.
Geralt.
I thought
Geralt
Garrett's
of
the other guy
Rivia.
that walks around with you.
Gerald.
It's Geralt and Garrett, the Witcher team. All right, that's the majority of Bethesda's content. Obviously, Fallout 4 being the big one. Dishonored 2 is pretty big news, though.
You missed two things on the Fallout.
What?
4.
What did I miss?
One, PC ports can go to Xbox ports. PC
Mods.
mods rather can go to Xbox.
yeah, that is a big deal.
And someone told me also PS4.
And I'm sure PS4. I guess we'll tackle that first. I love how people are super excited about it, but I'm very curious what mods are going to actually work on the consoles.
Specially selected ones that don't crash it every 3 seconds to break the frame rate. And
Well, I
even
just
those will
read-
still do it.
I just read an interview with Todd Howard before we started this, and he said that like they're not going to be very hands-on with like what mods are going to be allowed and what ones
shit.
aren't. Only things that have licensed material that are not allowed are basically going to be forbidden. Other than that, pretty much everything is a go. So I'm either they're going to have to start looking for it, or I'm looking forward to users being like, "My game broke. It's your fault."
I was actually
my
just
money back.
fondling Todd Howard's balls the other day, and he was telling me about
Nice.
how Fallout 4 is going to be a PS3 exclusive, so we got that to look forward to.
Game Boy Advance.
I can make him say anything when I got his
But
nuts in a
like,
vice,
I'm
though.
sure like there's going to be a ton of mods that are going to make the game look better, and of course, they're going to be resource hogs to do it on the PC. I'll be curious if those can even be ported over to consoles in the first place, because that would probably bring consoles to a screeching halt.
Maybe
I
there'll
don't
just be
know.
like a red dot next to the ones that are like, this will instantly break your game.
Yeah, I hope there's
Yeah.
something that like gives the console owners like, hey, you can't use this.
Somebody's got to curate them a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
just like a little simple peer feedback submission system.
Yeah, I
like
hope
this
for
one
reviews.
has not been tested, or this one has been tested and has not performed well in this system, something like that.
I hope so. Yeah.
My initial thought was like, who would be like playing the game? Like, if you're buying Fallout 4 for Xbox One, maybe you don't care about mods. But then I was like, maybe that's a little like too cynical. Maybe this is kind of like a gateway for a lot of people to actually get into the modding community. If they don't own a gaming PC and then they're like, whoa, this like opens my eyes to the kind of stuff that is possible with mod support. It could be cool as kind of like a gateway drug for that sort of thing.
I'm glad they're doing it, but I kind of felt like what you were going to say was, who would really bother to buy a system, to do mods on a console when they could just do it on PC, right? Like, is that really a feature that people are that worked up about, that it would really drive sales?
It's not a console mover, I don't think, that's for sure.
Right.
It's not the kind of thing
It's-
that would make a difference.
You have your
for me.
Xbox already, and you're going to be happy that this is announced, is really the only positive
Yeah.
side of that.
Yeah.
If you already own a gaming PC, it doesn't really make sense to
Right.
be excited about the mods, probably. But
Yeah, it's almost a guarantee that the modding community is going to be A, more prolific, and B, better, peer-reviewed, better curated is the word I'm looking for on the PC. So there's not a lot of
Right.
selling points there. But yeah, that's big news definitely for Fallout 4.
Raining?
Yeah,
Raining over there?
thunderstorm over at my place.
no, that's at Nick's place.
Yeah, if I just
and the-
vanish, that's why.
That's all right. The last thing I was curious about, what you guys think, is what seems like first off, the fully voiced main character, which is the first for Fallout, and B, what seems like a Mass Effect choice kind of dialogue
system.
tree, as opposed to the old style Fallout. Like, here's 10 things you can say.
Yeah.
You
Well,
choose
3,
one.
come on. Wasn't like they had dialogue
Are you
trees,
kidding me?
fucking extensive branches. There were
Fallout-
3 at the
Fallout New
most every
Vegas
time.
no way. Especially if like you had like a high charisma and had special items. There was always special things you could choose on top of
Yeah.
like the 3 or 4 normal
I
ones.
see what you did there. Special. Yeah.
Special. But yeah, I'm curious what your thoughts on that are. On that, do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be indifferent? Do you think it's going to be bad?
I never really had a personal identification with any of the main characters in Fallout, so I don't think it's going to really impact me that much to have someone acting as the main guy. That doesn't really
Yeah,
make a huge difference.
I'm kind of
to me.
neutral on it. Like, I'm excited to see what they do with it. I don't imagine they'll screw it up badly, and I'm kind of excited to see.
Yeah, it wasn't like it's ruining the authenticity of the experience.
Right. No, I'm
announcement.
not. I wasn't. Yeah.
So-
wasn't
I think
saying-
that's the only angle you can really be upset about it.
Yeah,
for.
exactly. You can't really think, oh my god, they're making the protagonist voice in Fallout 4. What a fucking
It's over. Game
what a
that's
fucking
not Fallout
sellout thing to
anymore.
do. Yeah.
It's not
I don't
Fallout.
sound exactly like the main character, so I can no longer envision myself as the main character.
This whole post-apocalyptic scenario really lost all of its merit for me as soon as I found out this dude had a voice. What the fuck?
I played Dragon Age Inquisition as a dwarf female warrior who had like a David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust haircut and the star tattoo over her eye. And they
right.
ruined it for me. Honestly, by letting me do that, they just ruined the whole experience for me.
No, yeah, I don't think it's a big deal at all. So yeah, Fallout 4 November 10th. That is Bethesda in a nutshell. They got Doom, Dishonored, Fallout. Pretty much what they got going.
We're all going to be playing Fallout, right? When that comes out.
Obviously.
I think so. Yeah, probably.
You need to. Well, have you made your decision of whether or not you're going to start out with 3 or New Vegas?
No. I'm gravitating towards New Vegas.
All right.
I had no idea that people were so vocal about.
I
which
know.
one
I
they like
saw.
better.
It was wow. Apparently, we're shitlords thinking Fallout 3 is the
really missed
defining
that.
experience.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's a pretty even split. New Vegas
Does
just
it?
appeals to me more because it's newer.
Oh, I thought a lot of
So.
people were saying Vegas over 3, but you
I,
know, whatever.
I saw play Fallout 3. It's pretty good, and then I saw play New Vegas if you don't want to be a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's how it sounded. Yeah.
Moving on to Microsoft's press conference. Guess what? Halo and Gears of War, guys. Stoked? I am.
Kind of
Definitely.
excited for the remake of Gears of War 1.
Yeah?
That seems cool. I saw like Gold Glove was playing it on Twitch last night. What's up with that?
He's
So
gold
was,
glove, man.
Early access.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not
I
like
don't-
not early access, but press early access.
Maybe I was cynical about the Microsoft press conference, and people were being like, "Well, it wasn't bad at all. It was great." And I just was like, I did not care about basically any of the games Microsoft were
Okay.
showing off.
how did they get to great? I think it was fine.
How could they do better by Xbox fans? Was my perspective.
I
Like,
guess, yeah. I
they
guess it's
announced
like it's very Xbox. It was very Xboxy in that it was first-person
New
shooters and sports.
Forza, new Forza,
Cars,
Forza
yeah.
5 is good.
That
Uh,
Lambo though, that was on stage.
You
Yeah,
gotta
on-
give it a second for the optimism to let the light shine through, Mathis. They put a car on stage. That is ridiculous, okay?
They've done that
You-
more than once, though.
They have. But it was a
It
very
does well
expensive
for
car.
them. Like that's
They
that's their
can't drop it
target
down
audience.
from the ceiling as though it's like this grand revelation. It's not like, oh my god, they put a car on stage. It's like, oh my god, they put a car on stage for the 3rd time. Whoa.
Here's your choices. You can either have a car come down on stage for 15 seconds, or you can have like the lead designer of Forza come on and talk about how they've modeled like manual transmissions accurately for half an hour.
No,
So
You would
I'd
think
take
that
the
people would
Kinect
actually
option.
give a shit about that though.
Inspect the carbon fiber with your virtual hands as you walk
Yeah,
around.
they did that.
Yeah, right.
Let's see.
Where was the
It's-
Connect support?
Yeah, where's the next?
These are all red herrings. You're not talking about the announcements. It's just like latent hatred
The
and
problem is
annoyance of
the
Microsoft.
announcements were fucking boring.
They are if you're not into that
All
like Xboxy type aesthetic.
We went way
There's
down the other end.
there's one definite saving grace, I think, and that's the fact that they announced backwards compatibility. That was pretty freaking big.
Yo, that shit's
Yeah.
impossible though.
Mm-hmm.
It was great until I found out there were 18 games supported, and then like
Oh,
maybe
God,
by
yeah.
the end of the year. So like I
None
would've
of
waited
which are
till
at
they had
all
a-
interesting. The ones that they've so far announced is
Well, I'm
possible
guessing you
backwards
can play like
compatibility.
Halo 3.
I don't actually remember.
don't
I think it was.
on- Mass Effect was definitely on
Yeah,
there. Both
mhm.
Banjo-Kazooie. Some of them were in the rare pack that they're selling also. So like
Sweet.
they already made the emulation for the rare pack, and then they're also putting it in that. Super Meat
Boy.
Boy was in there.
Yeah.
I guess the problem is there was just no
XHD.
variety. There was no variety in the announcement. It was just shooters, more
What?
shooters, cars, and sports.
What annoys me about this is that if Nintendo had followed the exact same philosophy that Microsoft followed of announcing new versions of everybody's favorite franchises from that manufacturer, people would be saying, "Oh, Nintendo like won the E3 conferences this year," maybe with the exception of Bethesda.
The difference, though, Ryan, is that Nintendo's franchises are varied and different. All of Microsoft's franchises are shooters.
It's just a different target audience. And one of them is not a shooter, one of them is a racing game, but people discount it because they think racing games are not like on the same level as other games.
Well, I think
Actually,
it's a
that's
little
an
bit more of an-
interesting point. Is the fact that I never really consider the amount of work and development cycles that go into racing games. I always just see it's another racing game. So I would be
Right.
interested to hear from the perspective of somebody that's maybe like an avid racing game enthusiast of what sort of
Forza 3 was the last one that came out, or 4?
Forza 5.
Forza 5.
Forza
And
5.
What
between
about
that,
Horizons?
You got 2 Horizons in there,
Yeah.
yeah. It's been almost an annualized franchise, but Forza 5 was 2 years ago now.
Speaking
check
of,
something.
well, I mean, you do say that they didn't really come up with much new. I actually was really excited about Recore.
Because Recore
was-
looked interesting, and
Yeah.
I was just looking at the sales figures for Forza 5. It doesn't sell a lot. Globally, it sold 1.96 million copies.
It was a launch title for the Xbox One, which most
Yeah,
people
we'll
would
say-
say has probably not hit its stride
Yeah.
yet.
Let's
to
see
be
what
fair.
Forza 4s were.
If you like look at Forza Horizon or something like that, it's
Forza 4, 4 million copies,
Yeah.
all globally,
probably on
all
360.
on 360, correct. I mean,
My
that's-
thinking is like
alright.
I agree that nothing Microsoft announced, even as someone who likes Forza 5, I'm not going to be buying Forza 6 or whatever, Forza 5 2. I forget what they were even calling it. But I do think that this is a conference that does right by people who like the Microsoft franchises. Now, admittedly, if you look at like they have the 5 pillars that they have as like their announcements. Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider is multi-platform, so that doesn't seem that big. Fable Legends, or whatever the name of the Fable game
Yeah.
was, I'll believe it when I see it. Forza is a racing game. Then there's the new Gears of War and the Gears of War remake.
There's
Some
that
people are
pirate
into it.
game.
Some people are into it, some people aren't. And Halo 5, which I think people are deservedly somewhat skeptical of because of Master Chief Collection.
Yep.
But I do think the announcements make sense from an Xbox perspective. I didn't think it would, and they didn't focus on TV or, you know, the NBA channel or anything like that, so I don't think
I don't
it's
want to
gonna-
give them
think
any
that-
credit for not doing that, though, because they just shouldn't be doing that in the first place at E3.
It was
feel like-
games.
and-
People asked about games.
Aren't they behind the 8 ball still as far as sales are concerned? You feel like they should be trying to reach out a little bit further beyond their core audience if their core audience is not
believe
enough.
that in April and May, the Xbox One outsold the PS4.
In Europe, though, right?
I thought it was in worldwide. It was NPD April.
It's like they backpedaled so much, though. I feel like I do want to give them a little bit of credit for at least going in a better direction. So it's like they probably had to refocus the whole company after, like, well, Kinect is a bust. What do we do now? Oh, right, we got to make games.
Yeah,
yeah.
nothing about the Kinect this year, by the way. I don't think
Thank
I
God.
literally
I'll give 'em
saw
that.
anything about the
Nice
Kinect.
job.
Yeah.
Thank
And I'm
God.
still happy they are doing BC on it. Like, the backward compatibility is a good thing. They just needed to maybe get it a little further along by the time they announce it, I thought.
Yeah, I'm excited for them to say they have announced that the Xbox One will play 360 games, and then 6 months down the road, oh, it actually was literally impossible. We thought we could do it, but
Right.
no, yeah, we can't do it. Sorry.
Instead, you can just buy them online
Yeah.
and stream them for you.
Yeah, if you own a 360, you can do
You can play
in-home
360
streaming through your Xbox One. But
They did actually say that at one point. They're like, well, I don't know why anyone with an Xbox One would want to play 360 games. They could just buy a 360. So,
It's an old corpse that it keeps getting dragged up. If anything, and I'm not trying to shit on anybody for this, but it shows how much damage E3 2012 did to Microsoft, or E3 2013 did to
I fully
Microsoft.
embrace that. yes.
That it is fully destroyed their image for like savvy core gamers, because core gamers are people who will play stuff on Xbox One and be okay with it. But people who are really savvy and follow industry news and stuff like that year did so much damage to Microsoft that the one thing I will agree wholeheartedly is that they are not doing enough to be like, we're not that same corporate culture that we had in 2013. It seems like they're leading by example, which is good, but at the same time they're not bringing people back in. Like, they're not creating optimism with their announcements. Instead, it's just kind of like, well, we're not focusing on the shit people hated anymore.
Maintaining
Right.
status quo from before everyone hated the whole presentation.
Right, yeah. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
there's a new controller.
Yeah, which I was psyched for until I found it was $150.
Yeah,
It's so expensive.
jeez.
Is it actually just like $150 for the controller?
Yeah, we don't even know how much the extra D-pads and stuff are, unless it includes them.
I don't understand the stuff that's right here, like on the inside
Like your
palm
gear shift.
area. Yeah, but you can swap those? But
I don't know if
why?
you can swap those.
No, they made a
It'll-
point of it in the video. They were like,
Those
check
swap?
this shit out. And then they swapped them
They
on
didn't
the
do
other
a
side.
Transformers like
Yeah, they really did.
Well,
Legitimately, that's what
gamers
happened.
pay 3 times the price for a fancier Xbox controller. Holy shit!
Honestly, I'm
$150.
looking at
Yeah.
If I could see myself doing this, and I mean this sincerely, I'm looking at the right analog stick popping up. You could use that as like a, I don't know, what joystick for an airplane or something like that, and the disco ball D-pad, and I'm like,
The disco ball D-pad.
is
That's
a disco
$150. Man.
I might be able to justify it if if it saves me buying an arcade stick and I want to play like Street Fighter 5 or something, maybe. But
I can't see that. I mean, that specific comparison, I don't think anyone would want to replace a fight stick
rather
with
have a
that
fight stick
controller. Yeah, I mean, the fight stick I don't think is even $150. Is
Yeah,
it?
so you can get a fight stick for 75.
Yeah, but the most popular ones.
Well, if you want to be a pro, if you
you
want to be like a tournament goer.
If you want to shift to Street Fighter V competitive Let's Plays, then yeah, maybe that's the.
I'm just
investment
saying,
gotta
you know,
make,
All right,
but-
it's confirmed. New direction.
there is a precedent for controllers that are over $100. I don't know if this necessarily, it does kind of look like master or jack of all trades, master of none, but I would be skeptical, I guess, to pay 150 for it unless I had a good reason.
I bet they'll sell out.
Plus, it'll be 200 in Canada, so.
$250 in the UK.
I will say Microsoft maybe made a good choice as far as VR is concerned by partnering with both Steam and Oculus.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's a good choice.
Surprising, but yeah, good.
I remember seeing the HoloLens presentation. That was back when they were displaying the actual technology and not necessarily correlating it with anything in Microsoft's gaming division. But HoloLens, they had a very similar presentation compared to what they did with Minecraft on stage, where they showed the 3D camera, which is, God, that rig is so fucking
Crazy.
ridiculous. You see that? It's like 40 pounds of equipment on this guy's shoulders and trying to film this stuff. But it looks very incredible. I mean, this is future tech if I've ever seen it. I can't help but be cynical about it. I don't want to believe that it's going to be that good because that just seems so impossible.
Closed conditions, man.
A
Yeah,
lot
I
of
know.
even a lot of the hands-on, even being in closed conditions, they said the big thing is that the field of view in the HoloLens itself is very small.
Yeah.
Like what actually works is a very small square in front of you, and everything else is just.
Well, it's like the
doesn't work.
3DS. You can only look at it from a certain angle and actually have
Not the
proper
new one,
3D
man.
vision.
Not
Ah,
the new
yeah.
The new one is better, but you
Is it
still
that much
have
better?
I still turn it off.
you have a pretty limited viewing. Yeah, when I was playing Monster Hunter 4, I'd turn it on during cutscenes and be like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and then it's just immediately off again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It is better though.
But, that's an expectation I had as far as the limitations of the hardware would be, tunnel vision to the extreme of what it is that you can actually interact with in that sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess it's got to start somewhere. They definitely presented it as though it was a huge revolution of technology, but I doubt that we're going to see. Very much, I doubt that we're going to see on the consumer level a HoloLens that works like we are in fucking
way they ask it to
2100.
work.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys remember those augmented reality cards they had for the DSi, where like you put it down on a table and you show
Yeah.
the camera and it like would make Mario pop out of the card?
Oh yeah.
I figured that's kind of all they had going on with that display. Like that table was set up with markers to work properly the way they asked it to, and obviously they have to have this really well rounded for the presentation. They can't have issues. So if that's all it is, like, we need to see it in actual hands to really judge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of gonna maintain on that.
Either way, I still think it's a big leap in technology, one way or another.
No, I agree with that. I think what's unfortunate is that it's not really possible to get any sort of personal opinion on it without experiencing it for yourself. It's kind of like the Oculus Rift and all the other VR that's going on right now. You can read articles about it of people telling you the exact technical limitations and the field of view and the resolution and stuff like that, but you can't ever really know whether or not it's an experience that you hold favorable until you are there doing it for yourself, which will cost you hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to do so.
Yeah.
There's another big part of Microsoft's conference that we didn't really address either, is the fact that they're talking about, well, no, they're not even talking about it. They're actually going to be doing it. They're introducing early access to the Xbox One, more or less.
Oh yeah.
So
Forgot about
Xbox
that
One, I don't even know if they have a name for it yet, but it's essentially allowing people to buy games like, I think they're starting with The Long Dark.
It's already up. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Ark.
Okay. Ark is on there too?
Yeah.
That's not surprising, I guess. I think Elite Dangerous might be on there as well.
Elite Dangerous is fully released though.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Be ready, though, Xbox One owners, for all the survival games you can handle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently, you can handle a lot
If you've
of
been
them.
missing out on games such as Rust and Ark and The Forest and fucking
Games where you
Island,
start out naked and eventually build a wooden box.
like Fallout 4.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
you're not naked in that one.
I don't know. I mean, it's if the
face.
early
I don't know
access
about
phenomenon is destined to spread everywhere. We've lived
Like
with it
the
on
cancer
PC.
that it is.
We've lived with it on PC for like a year and a half. I'm more pro early access than I am anti early access, even though it comes with a lot of negative stuff. But certainly, it does lead to a lot of unfinished games coming out on a platform, and consumer expectations are not always equal to developer expectations at the time of release. I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing, but I think it will probably have some bad results.
Do you think inherently PC consumers are more forgiving of early access faults than Xbox One buyers will be?
I couldn't say, I guess.
I know I don't want to be a customer service rep that's dealing with people that want their money back for it. That's
I agree with
what
that.
I know.
I hope they have an idea of, a refund system to accommodate to that, or they're at least blatantly obvious about the fact that these are early access titles. I mean,
Yeah.
Steam has the little blip underneath the sale page that isn't even really
Right.
at the forefront of anything that says this is an early access title. I really hope that the beta program, whatever they end up calling it on the Xbox One, has almost even maybe like a warning page, a landing page before you get to the actual storefront of
Yeah.
these titles are not done and should be treated as such. I think Steam honestly could do a better job of that. I don't think the little blip of information is enough below the screenshots and videos. I think they need to kind of make that a lot more apparent, a lot more evident.
A lot of things they need to do with it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's big news. And other than that, yeah, they got Forza, they got... Oh, there was that Rare thing, the Rare Replay Collection for
Yep.
a whole bunch of old Rare titles like Conker's Bad Fur Day.
I think it was like 30 in total.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
30 games for $30 for old Rare games. I was a little not stoked on it while we were doing the Roundtable live stream, which you can catch on twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast VOD if you're interested in seeing that.
There you go.
But yeah, it's kind of neat.
I think 30 games for $30 is a pretty good deal. I'm assuming it's just going to be, emulated and upscaled to 720p or 1080i. But, a lot of these games people aren't going to be interested at all. Like, are you interested in playing Slalom? That one might not be worth $1. Or, Cobra Triangle. Maybe the name there. As we put
I'm
it.
into that one. That's got a triangle in it.
What about RC Pro-Am and RC Pro-Am 2?
Oh, yeah, man. RC Pro-Am 2. They waited 5 years, but they finally fixed all the issues from RC Pro-Am 1.
But honestly, for Battletoads, Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Killer Instinct, Gold, Jet Force Gemini, Blast Corps,
Grabbed by the
Banjo-Tooie,
Ghoulies.
I'm not really including Grab by the Ghoulies, but you can if you want to. I think it's pretty okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I will pick it up, but it was maybe the game out of the conference that I was most likely to pick up.
The 30 games span 25 years, which is pretty outstanding that they actually managed to, format all those games into one package.
I wonder if there's going to be behind the scenes like commentary or anything about the process of putting these games together and curating them, because I'd be almost more curious to watch that than I would to actually play, because I own mostly all of those games already.
The compilation also includes bonus features. A documentary feature, Rare Revealed, has
Done.
over an hour of
There you go.
footage describing the history of the studio and the development of several major
All right.
games.
May have just made a sale. Thanks, Bear.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
work for
like-
Rare.
It's $15 of value for me comes in being able to play the original Perfect Dark with dual analog controls on my TV
Yeah.
instead of
All
having
right.
to fuck around with the R button.
You think it's gonna be dual? You think it's gonna be dual analog?
Oh, absolutely. If they come out with it and Perfect Dark does not use dual analog controls, they did not play test it at all. Like, there is no way.
All right, we'll see.
Leave a comment. Let us know once it's out. Did they fix that?
Yeah, that's August 4th, so we'll wait a
If
little
they
while.
do not do that, I can't fathom that world. Where they make Perfect Dark with the original N64 controls on the Xbox One controller.
I couldn't fathom the world where they made impossible happen with Xbox One backward compatibility, and yet we live in that world now.
It's true.
Y'all are just a bunch of haters, man. What does Microsoft need to do to get you to buy their console, and how much do you play your PS4 as is when they've accomplished that, apparently, at least?
New IPs that are not shooters. Give me something original.
Fucking
Outside
thing's
of
still in a
one.
box in my
Outside of
closet,
one.
man. I've got a case to make here, I guess.
I don't actually own one, so
Yeah, me
Well, I
either.
was saying I
because
was
there's nothing to
gonna buy
buy on it.
Yeah.
There's tons of stuff to buy, it just doesn't appeal to you.
There's nothing to buy on it.
stuff that I have on PC already is basically what it is. He just left.
Just gets up and fucking leaves. He's not having this argument anymore.
It's the console I use the least as well. But the only thing it lacks, in my opinion, over the PS4 right now is that it doesn't have Bloodborne and it doesn't have MLB The Show. And that's like sincerely it for me, is that, you know, those consoles would be exactly equal if Sunset Overdrive was on both, Infamous was on both, and MLB The Show and Bloodborne were on both. PS4 has like 4 games that make it the consummate objective #1 choice right
Diablo
now.
3, so good.
Diablo 3's on both?
Oh.
Yeah, but PS4 is because of the Sony announcement.
What's
It
that?
has the infamous DLC.
Sorry, what?
Because of the Sony announcements. I mean, the PS4 is already going to be a better console to own in the next year or two.
We don't know that yet based on the announcements that they made at E3 this year.
Speaking of Sony at E3 this year, that's the next conference we're going to be talking about.
No record.
Sony announced The Last Guardian within the first 5 minutes of the show.
I'm pumped for The Last Guardian.
Yeah,
I
they
can't-
accomplished the impossible as well.
Well,
That's been canceled.
Before even that, they opened up their show with a song that was going "Here We Fucking Go" over and over and over again, which I thought that got me hyped. I was ready to go at that point. But The Last Guardian, the final piece of the Team Ico, Team Eco, Team Go Fuck Yourself trilogy. It's
A
finally.
lot of people are like, "What's the fucking hype?" Honestly, it's not going to be a game for everybody. It's a very, it's if you liked Ico, if you like Shadow of the Colossus, I'm sure you'll like Last Guardian.
Here's
but-
the thing, too, is Shadow of the Colossus is, like, hands down my favorite game I've ever played. It's my #1 of all time. I know Nick kind of hated it.
All right, let's not go too far. I think the atmosphere of it was outstanding. I just really thought the controls and the camera work were pretty bad. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's something special in that game. I would love to see a remaster one day.
Even further than that, though, on the flip side, I hated Ico. I didn't like
liked
Ico
Ico.
at all. Okay, so there we go. So, like, we have the complete polarization, but it's quite obvious. The Last Guardian, either Nick or I is going to hate The Last Guardian, I think is what we determined from this. But yeah, it's not going to be for everybody, but it really is. I just think they've kind of done themselves a favor almost with how shady and I don't know. They're not really being very reliable as far as the information on The Last Guardian is concerned, or even about the development process of it. But it is supposedly solidified, and it's coming next year. So that's awesome.
fucking finally.
I want to know what changed between it being canceled to being at E3.
It never got canceled.
It never got canceled.
It was
But
a
it was
big
officially canceled. I
No,
read
it was.
articles.
There were tons of rumors, and every time they
That
asked,
was-
they're like, "It's not canceled."
Did I
This
get
is danger.
clickbaited?
This is the danger with some modern journalism is IGN did publish an article that said The Last Guardian has been canceled, and then their source turned out to be flaky, so they retracted the
Never
article.
followed up. Okay.
But, you know, it's the law of the internet, you know? It takes 10 times more energy to make people not believe something than it does to make them believe something. So once that misinformation is already out there,
I just
it is
didn't know there
canon.
was a follow-up, so I kind of landed on the first half of that story. All right. Well, that
Indeed.
explains that.
Yeah, The Last Guardian's happening. Also, yet another Hitman is what The Verge is saying here, which...
yes,
Yeah,
I don't
that's...
think Ryan likes your tone.
No,
I am all in.
I'm ready for
it. It's been 3 years since
You only have
Hitman
so many
Absolution.
chips, man. You can't push them all in on 3 tables.
I was only tacitly in on the Microsoft conference.
All right.
Except for the rare collection. Yeah, Hitman Absolution came out 3 years ago. I liked it. Some other people say it was the biggest disappointment they've ever played in their entire lives.
Wow.
But
I disagree,
either
it was
way,
great.
I think everybody is ready for a new Hitman, and I like the approach that they're taking. Hitman Absolution was not really a strong story experience for me, so them taking more of a kind of growing sandbox approach, episodic semi-content That sounds like just buzzwords that mean
It really
nothing.
does.
But they haven't really explained it fully. It's like it's an ever-growing world through like episodic content that comes out. So I don't know what that means. But I think it's a cool approach to Hitman. I think that could totally work if it's more focused on kind of creating that like mousetrap style mechanics based gameplay as opposed to like this is the roller coaster track that you're on. You use QTEs to beat this luchador in a wrestling match. Like that stuff was a little zany. But I'm very much for it, yeah. And I trust that the market is a little bit different now, and they've heard the feedback from Absolution and are probably like, we're going to make a Hitman game for people who really liked Hitman Blood Money. So I'm excited for that, even though I didn't play much Hitman Blood Money.
I remember you getting a little heated at me when we were tweeting about Steam sales last year about Absolution. I was basing it off of popular opinion, and you were a supporter.
I get bent out of shape when people don't really give a game a chance and just like they form an opinion on it based on reputation alone. Splinter Cell Blacklist. A lot of people think Splinter Cell Blacklist is a shit game because it's a Ubisoft game and it's not Chaos Theory, but it's actually really, really good. And people that give it a chance tend to mostly like it. You know, people thought it was one of the people that played it thought it was one of the best games of 2013. Absolution admittedly has a little bit more of a divisive element to it because people like Blood Money so much. But
I
think
prefer to make my judgment calls based on the people that don't play the games, though. That's really the way I go for the most part.
Well, that's why I'm just trying to stop like the patient zero spreading the opinion of it on a game they haven't played to like 10,000 other people.
Yeah.
All right. Is this a reboot, do we know? Because I wasn't sure by their presentation.
They didn't
don't
just
think
call
a
it Hitman,
prequel?
did they?
Oh, it's a prequel?
I think it's
think
taking
it-
place like when he was during like his Hitman-ish career.
His
Before he
early
went broke.
Hitman days.
Yes,
Amateur
in
Hitman.
Absolution.
Not post-Hitman.
Well, in
Right.
Absolution, he did. He quit the organization.
All right.
Oh, spoilers! God.
It happens in the first mission if you
Right.
played the game.
Let's check the
Yeah.
back of his head.
Now I
Let's
don't need
see
to.
the
I know
mark
all
on
about
the
it.
back.
Street Fighter V is coming out. Speaking of fight sticks, too, Street Fighter V is going to be around March of 2016. I don't expect that there's going to be, like now the fighters stand on their hands and punch with their feet. But there's not a lot that they can do, right? It's going to be Street Fighter, probably. I don't know. I guess maybe like introduce more support for the competitive crowd. The Street Fighter, I think, is dominating the world of fighting esports as much as I can tell right now.
It's just been getting out of control,
Smash
man. People
Bros,
yeah.
love Street
No,
Fighter.
Smash Bros is definitely up there. Yeah,
I've Street Fighter 4 came out in like 2009, right? So
There's been
it's
so
yeah,
many
lots of expansions.
iterations and expansions.
Super
have been,
Street
that's
Fighter
true.
4 Turbo Edition, Super Street Turbo Championship, Fighter 4 Chaos, Multiplayer Madness Extreme. You remember that expansion? That was a good one.
I like watching
Edition.
Street Fighter, man. Wednesday night fights on Twitch.
Yeah,
It's
it's a
one
good
of my
time.
favorites.
Well, they got Street
Street Fighter
Fighter,
5.
they got Tekken, they've got King of Fighters, they've got
Yep.
Marvel vs. Capcom, all kinds of different fighting games, but I still think Street Fighter is just kind of the staple of everything as far as esports go.
Street Fighter 5 for me is like the perfect. In a year after it comes out, it'll be half price one weekend on Steam, and I'll pick it up and put like 10 hours in it and be like, now I can understand the language of the game. Like it's
Right.
almost like a research project. And then like that's what I did with I have Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, and I got fluent in the terms of it, and now can sort of understand
Yeah.
what's going on, and it was well worth it.
Have you researched all the hitboxes? Because if you haven't, you're
Not
a
even
scrub.
close. Also, I use FADC all the time, and every time I use it, people are like, "That's not how you use it properly." So fair enough, but at least I know what an FADC is.
Yeah, step ahead. I'm gonna come clean and kind of break myself down to the smallest parts here for a minute. Very rarely when I play a game do I like become ashamed of myself for my performance. Street Fighter, my brain cannot comprehend it. I can't do it. I can't play Street Fighter. Like I can like like I have the motor skills required to play Street Fighter, but playing up against anybody, I'm not surprised to get perfected 2 rounds in a row because I don't understand it. I cannot fathom what Street Fighter is.
There's so much of it that isn't even about the fighting. It's about watching the zoning and seeing your positioning versus what your options are. And if you don't know every matchup and you don't know what the hitboxes are, it's like it gets real deep down that rabbit hole. I'm garbage at it too, by the way. My thing is BlazBlue. I don't really go in the Street Fighter direction.
I picked it up. Like, there was actually a Blockbuster that was going out of business nearby me, so I picked it up for $3 or something like that off of their going out of business shelves. It was such a sad sight, by the way, walking into a Blockbuster that was just maybe midway through the process of being deconstructed. There was just little boxes lining shelves, and some shelves were like on their side. Employees were sobbing in the corner. It was just the most heartbreaking thing.
What a difference. Blockbuster Video.
I was playing on the PA system as I was buying my games.
I'm the same way though, Bear. Like, I got into Street Fighter back, like, probably 2010. It was back in my, like, really heavy esports days where I was, like, playing StarCraft a lot. And I was like, you know what? I can get into to Street Fighter as well while playing StarCraft. I trying to play Street Fighter is, like, a totally different beast. Like, I can't do it either. Like, I understand the terminology a bit because I played and I tried to learn, but I was just like, I just I can't do this, and I was like, backed away from it.
Street Fighter 5 Tournament of Shame. Let's do it.
I know, right?
God, that would be like a legitimate
so
tournament of shame. Of just all
we'd all just be like butt mashing in the. We're all crouched in the
just
corner of the
sweeping
screen
at no one.
Come on, get away!
I'm good enough at Street Fighter to beat people who are not good at Street Fighter, but not good enough to consistently beat people who have never played. That's like where my fighting game skill is here. If someone just mashes buttons against me, I'm like, you got me.
That's
if
so
someone
funny.
tries to do combos but sucks, I might have a chance.
Yeah, there's like a skill gap, but the beginning of the skill graph is when you play it for the very first time, you're actually kind of okay. But then when you start to try to learn how to play it, you go, and then you're just
like, wait a minute,
slow crawl as you learn every single little element
It's like
of it.
trying to play a poker against somebody who's never played poker before and just does anything and whatever.
That's such a perfect comparison, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, why are you going all in with like a 2 and a 5? I don't understand. You're like, fuck it, man, whatever.
I got so salty. This is a complete fucking tangent, but we were playing like a family like $20 buy-in game or something like that. And my wife's stepmom, or no, it was what the hell is that relationship? Fuck it. It was some lady that was related to us. She's playing with us, and she's going just fucking ham no matter what.
Yep.
And
you
of
can't
course, that person is the one who hits fucking trip 5s on the river when they're all in with nothing. And God, it was just...
You have like Ace King, and they go all in, and you're just like... Oh.
7-3 offsuit versus Ace King. They hit the 4-5-6 in the first 3 cards. God, yeah. Anyway,
also known as the North Korea strat in poker. No matter what, you're like, we're gonna. This is for all the marbles. You're like,
so we buried her body in the desert. No Man's Sky coming around, finally getting some actual gameplay elements of it. Well, we got a little bit before, but we're seeing a lot more out of No Man's Sky now, and God, does it look awesome.
I have an interesting opinion on No Man's Sky.
Okay.
I like the idea.
I'm gonna go get some more coffee.
Whoa.
Okay. Well, we'll wait, I guess.
Don't wait for him now. Come on.
See ya, Ryan.
No, tell me about No Man's Sky. I want to hear your opinion on No Man's Sky.
I kind of get what people are excited, but at the same time, I don't know why people are so fucking hyped for it. Because, and seeing gameplay, I get the idea of this infinitely explorable world or universe rather, seems really cool. But the combat looks super simple. The world, the model and the model of the ships and stuff looks super simple. And I don't see how exploring is not going to get tedious after a few hours.
Scale alone, I think, is enough to sell something like this.
Elite Dangerous is fucking huge and has a much more intricate and fun combat system than something like No Man's Sky, which looks like it's Star Fox combat.
Can you do the transition from ground to space, though?
That is the only thing Elite Dangerous
That's all
has.
it takes.
But that's what I'm saying. How long before
No, that's
randomly?
it. That's the entire pitch. You can go from ground to space.
That's my concern, though. I don't get why people are so excited. I feel like exploring those planets are going to eventually get really boring.
You gotta really hope there's a lot of content.
I'm a little bit with Mathis where it looks a little bit like, from what we saw in the gameplay, that it has that Starbound problem of like, there's so many places to do things that you don't really want to do 1,000 times.
Right.
Like when he landed on the transition was amazing.
Yeah,
and if the
very
game's $30, I'll pay $250 8 times to do that. Like it's an arcade machine or something like that. But then when he got there and he's like, here's a tree, and he took out his gun and it split into like weird little like Minecraft parts and they just got sucked into his body. I'm like, I'm not gonna spend 100 hours breaking down these like modular trees and then getting like credits for exploration. Like it's kind of cool. I feel like the scope of the game as it looks right now looks amazing, but the actual like gameplay loop that you seem to be doing over and over and over doesn't look that engaging for me right now.
I'm the same. I'm in the same boat.
I might be a little bit on board with you with that. I keep holding out hope that there's going to be sort of a greater power at play when it comes to what's actually going on with No Man's Sky. But the closer we get to the actual release of the game and the later on in the development cycle we get, this is probably pretty damn close to completion, what they've got going on right now. I think they've got a release date of... Or no, they don't actually still have a release date. So maybe
I keep looking at it, and I'm just like... Outside of the planetary landings, Elite Dangerous has 400 billion stars you can go research, and there are greater powers at play that you can choose to work for and expand their influence within the universe. There's trading, there's all this stuff. And then it's like, but it doesn't have planetary landing. It's like, yeah, yet it's coming in an expansion, but there's still more depth to that game than there's something like No Man's Sky. But people are like fucking jerking off to No Man's Sky.
I'm looking at it sort of like a Proteus angle, where it's not about the gamification, it's about the experience. There's supposed to be some sort of biome ecology, like cataloging system where you discover stuff. Yep. I'm kind of into that. I'm kind of into just wandering about for hours. I may never see another person. I'm kind of okay with that as well. And the actual gameplay elements are like the least interesting looking thing to me.
I'm not saying I'm going to hate it either, and I feel like I'm shitting on it. I'm with Ryan, where I feel like I'm going to enjoy it. I'll probably play it for a few hours and be like, that was fun. But how long before I'm just like, and I've done this 100 times?
I totally get the Starbound comparison. In fact, I'm probably on the same board with that same thing. I just might be a lot more amused by the visuals in this, whereas Starbound is like, all right, I get the idea.
Yeah.
It is rare as well for a game to create kind of that sense of wonder that also existed in Starbound. Even though Starbound gets shit on a little bit for being kind of like a really long, shallow pool, like it did, at least for the first like 10 or 15 hours, there was that incredible sense of like, this is new, and like there's a sense of discovery. Yeah, anything could happen. And I feel like that will exist probably. The way that it looked is like it would exist in No Man's Sky, where at first you're going to be just like overwhelmed on a sensory level of like, there's so many possibilities to do. But I just, the micro, like what you actually do when you land on a planet looks kind of boring to me.
What is notable is there's actually a GTA-style wanted level system built into the game. They, I don't know if they really revealed it, but they are showing this off now with E3 demos. I don't even know if they have a name for it at the moment, but it is very much just the GTA wanted level of basically 5 stars. And you increase that by interfering with the local fauna, the vegetation, the wildlife around the planets that you explore. And if you start to interfere too much, there will be these sort of sentinel beings that will come and try to take you down. And I guess there's just sort of a universal force at play that's trying to maintain the balance of ecosystems across these different galaxies and planets. So that is pretty interesting. And that's what still sort of gives me lingering hope about the fact that there's maybe a sort of idea of... You know, I don't want to try to make it into like this intergalactic combat regime thing that's going to happen, but I want to believe that No Man's Sky will have a greater purpose as opposed to go to this planet, explore some stuff, get some credits, go find another one, which admittedly does not sound like it would hold my attention for very much longer than like an hour, really.
You want to talk about crafting systems that are a little hard to wrap your mind around. According to this article, 10 things we learned about No Man's Sky, you can literally craft items on an atomic level by using blueprints you find in the game. Yeah, you can assemble,
I won't
you
ever.
can assemble molecules from atoms that you find on these planets.
Oh my god.
You find atoms.
And what do you do with those molecules?
You make them into like a better shield.
You split an atom and create a bomb and, you know, like boost up your water level pretty quick. That sounds like...
Yeah, if you drop a nuclear bomb on like a space deer, that'll probably raise your wanted level pretty high.
At least 1 or 2 stars.
Or Bambi.
Bambi 3 is this is actually a concept for Bambi 3, No Man's Sky.
A long pitch.
Yeah.
I know. Right?
Bambi 2 and Bambi the original hold the record for longest gap between movie sequels. So
I saw this.
I read that.
60
yeah.
years or something like that. I too read
as far as
Reddit.
I got to.
There's another one coming around from Media Molecule, developer behind Little Big Planet. There's a game called Dreams, which is sort of this very artsy fartsy. It's a Nick game, I think. It's definitely going to be a Nick game, right?
I have no idea what the hell that thing is, man. It looks like a sculpting tool. I got very little idea of what actual gameplay is. In fact, it may not be a game at all. It may just be sort of like a 3D modeling
Potentially.
studio with like a viewing thing where you can like send it to your friends, but I don't really know what you do in it. It looks pretty.
Yeah, it almost reminded me from the trailer. It almost reminded me of Movie Maker. Like you're gonna be making like these like. Did I ever play Movie Maker back on the PC like fucking 10 years ago or more?
No.
The name sounds familiar. I don't remember though.
Windows Movie Maker?
No. It was a game. Oh,
I think I remember what
you're.
you're talking about.
The
I
movies?
never really did.
It's
Yeah.
like game dev.
The
type
movies
stuff
might be
for
called-
movies.
Movie Maker game.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be something along those lines.
Yeah,
it
where
doesn't
you're
really surprise me
making
from Media
things.
Molecule either to have something like that be a new project.
It also wouldn't surprise me if it had no gamification at all, and it was
The
just
movies,
a-
Ryan. You're right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I almost don't know what to say about it. It looks very pretty, and I'm eager to see more. But right now, I have no opinion really.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yo, the movies game website's still alive.
Wow. Does it look like a website made in 2001?
No, because the thing game came out in like 2005.
I think it came out in 2005.
2005. So it looks all right.
Well, the onus is upon us to save Shenmue. Without us, it would surely
already
die.
saved,
It's
man.
saved and a
Yeah.
half, man.
By the time this podcast comes out, it'll probably be another $1 million or so in the pockets of those devs. But I don't know how I feel about Shenmue 3 Kickstarter, but I want to hear you guys talk about it first.
I don't know about the Kickstarter. I mean, whatever. I'm just happy the game's fucking being made.
It's real weird that there's like a skill tree system as a stretch goal. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
it,
again,
it looks
Shenmue,
just like any other, title that's gaining some traction on Kickstarter of, well, we have these elements that would be fun to put in, but we need you guys to fund it out of your pockets to do so. I don't know. There's just this very odd precedent that could be potentially set by the given success and maybe continued success of the Shenmue 3 Kickstarter, where just like the abandonment of traditional publishing companies may very well be in the onset as a result of this.
Well, Square Enix last year announced their crowdfunding for riskier titles, and people, I think kind of rightfully so, flayed them a little bit, and they're like, you're a big publisher, if you think you're going to make money on this, why don't you fund it yourself?
Right.
Right, yeah.
But then the Shenmue Kickstarter, there has been some blowback, but it feels like that to the extreme, where you're like, you're Sony, you're the...
If you can't afford to make this,
Right.
then
I
I
don't
think
think-
that just means don't make it, right?
don't think it's going to be a PS4 exclusive. No, it's going to be PC as well.
It's
So they-
funded... the Kickstarter is not going to fund the entire creation of the game.
No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Which is why it seems weird to me that they're doing it at all.
Yeah.
I guess it was kind of like they wanted proof that the people were actually interested in it.
Maybe it's just
but
marketing plus free money. Marketing that pays for itself.
That's, I guess, what
true.
is
Yeah.
what leaves a bad taste in my mouth to some extent. This is all absent of the fact that it's Shenmue 3, which I've never played any of the earlier Shenmue games, but I'm sure if you love Shenmue, you're like, this is awesome that they're making a Shenmue 3. But from a business perspective, I'm very cynical about the fact that an enormous company is basically using Kickstarter for a marketing tool, and also they're getting paid by people to market it, which
Yeah.
is I don't know. At its best, it's just pre-ordering. You're
Yeah.
pre-ordering Shenmue 3, basically. And there's
Correct.
nothing necessarily evil about pre-ordering a game, of course, even though people tell people not to pre-order all the time.
Completely evil.
But I resent
Go
the
ahead.
idea that the normal pitch on Kickstarter is without you, this won't get made.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, I kind of get the idea that's Well, you can help us. Like, you can just give us money to make it, and then we'll sell it to you as well.
Yeah.
I'm a little cynical about that.
Of
I'm
course,
with you. I don't think it was necessary to kickstart it.
I think
Sorry, go
I think it was marketing before funding for sure.
I think you're probably
I
right.
think this is a clever new way. That just the fact that hashtag Save Shenmue existed is proof, maybe the validation
And they made
enough of that
$3.5
point.
million on it.
Right. Yeah, they're not even. What do they have? Like 20 days probably left. still on the
24 days to
Kickstarter.
go. 3.5 million already funded.
Is I don't know. I can't feel good about it. You know, absent of the Shenmue game in general, I think any number of titles you could put in its place, so long as they're established franchises. Like, imagine. Oh my God, this is probably a pretty radical comparison, but imagine a Ubisoft Kickstarter for the next Assassin's Creed game. Like,
It'll fail.
I think it's pretty
No,
obvious.
it won't. It'll
that-
absolutely not fail.
I think it's pretty obvious that Shenmue has a following. I think they knew that ahead of time. I think they knew that Shenmue 3 would be successful, even on like from a financial standpoint.
It's not on the same level, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but it had the same kind of grassroots thing as like the Final Fantasy VII remake. People
Yeah.
wanted Shenmue 3 for a long time.
I kind of feel like a better comparison would be, what if Ubisoft did a Kickstarter for Beyond Good and Evil 2?
Okay, yeah, that's
Again,
probably better.
that's-
Yeah.
Well,
Like 10 years
Ukulele,
old.
man. Ukulele actually happened. That's kind of the same idea, right?
But that was an indie developer. That's not Rare funding Ukulele.
right.
That's like a company that probably needs the money to be able to make that dream come true. But I feel like if Ubisoft announced a Kickstarter for Assassin's Creed 6, people would be like, wow, that's really shitty. But if they announced one for Beyond Good and Evil 2, I would really be surprised to not see people be like, well, I'm not really a big fan of the marketing potential here, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to see Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah.
That's
What about Mighty Number 9?
Mighty Number. It's also it's not Ubisoft. I mean, Inti Creations is not necessarily a small company, but
But
it's
they're like
not.
using the money to make an anime, aren't they? They're part of
If
it.
it was a stretch goal, I have nothing against
Yeah.
it, but I don't know the specifics of
I
it.
guess I
so.
don't either.
God, that comparison is so much better than mine. I feel like a jackass now.
There, it's okay.
Look, man, you run this show, right?
Oh, it's all right. But yeah, speaking of the Final Fantasy VII remake, though, that is indeed happening. Not much information. Definitely a lot less information about that than most of the other things we saw in this year's
I'm
E3.
I'm probably more excited than I should be for that.
I definitely know I'm way more excited than I should be about that. I am the conductor of the fucking hype train when it comes to
I
the
know,
Final Fantasy
dude. I'm
VII
right
remake.
there with you. I screamed when I
right.
saw it. I was
We
so
were
excited.
live there. I almost shit my pants. Like it was.
It's like
huge.
Final Fantasy VII holds so many memories for me, and I'm sure it's the same for so many people. It was my first RPG ever. Probably the
Yeah.
first game I put more than 10 hours into at any given time.
That's your first RPG ever?
It was my
Not
very
like
first
Earthbound or Secret of
Nope.
Mana
I
or
never had
Chrono
a
Trigger,
I never had a Super Nintendo.
Final Fantasy 3.
Nope, did not. It was Final Fantasy VII.
You can't shame him for his first RPG.
I'm not
like-
I'm just surprised.
He's like
a
nine.
tiny
I
bit
went
of
back-
RPG
I
elitism
went
there.
back and I played those games after the fact.
I just
but
thought he was older, I guess, is all.
I'm
It's like,
old.
no,
Oh,
if you
he
were
is,
9,
yeah.
why did you
I'm
buy
old,
Final
motherfucker.
Fantasy 3? Man,
I'm
that's-
old, motherfucker, but I got into the RPG game late. I guess it's like 11 or 12. But I remember crying when Aerith kicked it. Like I love
wait,
that
what?
game.
Boy,
I know, right?
Oh,
Spoilers.
Japanese name.
Mathis?
I'm sorry.
he
Everyone's
did
talking
go
about
with
the
the Japanese
spoiler.
translation of it. Yeah.
I'm more surprised that you went with the Japanese name for Eris, which is how you know you're a true fan.
Phantom really like shit
I-
on you if you say Chris.
I played every shitty Final Fantasy spin-off, Final Fantasy VII spin-off. I watched every shitty Final Fantasy VII movie. Man, what was the one based on Vincent? It was fucking awful. The game for the PS2.
they made a
Crisis Core.
Vincent game.
No,
It was
they
for
made a
PSP
Vincent
and then
game.
ported it to
Oh my
PS2.
god.
No, there's a Vincent PS2 game. It was fucking
I
awful.
didn't even know
and
that
played it.
existed. What is
I think I
that?
read the
Just-
synopsis of that when I was deep down the Final Fantasy rabbit hole, and even at that point, I was like, "Oh, come on!" Before Crisis.
Surge of Cerberus.
Surge of
Surge
Cerberus.
of Cerberus. It was fucking.
The premise is Vincent's cool as hell, so here's a game with Vincent in
And it was-
and you'll buy it.
It's like a fucking
I
Kingdom
bought
Hearts
it.
game centered around Goofy, man. That doesn't work at all. Actually, I might play that.
Anyway, back on track. We don't know anything about the remake outside of the fact that they said they're just not going to just remake it. They're going to like change a lot as far as like gameplay mechanics are concerned.
Yeah, which I'm equal parts scared of and understanding of is the fact that
And-
there's a lot of the elements of the PlayStation 1 release of Final Fantasy VII that probably would not translate well to a
Yeah,
modern
it needs to
console.
be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they said if it does well, they want to do like Final Fantasy VI remake, which would be
If
amazing.
they do 12, I'd be so happy.
A 12 remake? Come on.
I want
man.
12 again, man. I love 12.
12 is
12
good, but it doesn't need to be remade. You can
It
go back and play
absolutely
12 right
does.
now.
I don't-
It's pretty as it is, but if they just added a little bit more polish on it, it would be so much
I
better.
don't think 12
All
is-
right. So if we'll chart, let's assume they do make a Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, he's gonna
You'll
figure
have-
out what year it comes out.
You'll have Final Fantasy 10 in like the year 2002.
They already remade
They already did
remastered
Final
that.
Fantasy
Yes,
X.
they
They did
skipped
it
10.
fucking twice. They put it out on
Allow
two
me to
different
spin
consoles.
you a yarn.
All right,
please.
spin it
up.
I'm getting to this point.
Spin it up like the
A
cobbler.
little overly precocious. 2002, in America at least, you have Final Fantasy 10. 2 years later, you have Final Fantasy 11. It's an MMO. Then you have Final Fantasy 12, which comes out in like 2006 or 2005. Anyway, Final Fantasy 13, 13.2, 13.3, Final Fantasy 14 coming out, getting scrapped, being remade into an MMO this year that people actually like. Final Fantasy 10 and 10.2 being remade, Final Fantasy 7 being remade, and then Final Fantasy 12 being remade.
Well, 6 first.
Six,
Sick.
then
Okay,
12,
and then all of
yeah.
the mobile ports, of course, as well. So you'll have a company that in like the last 13 years has made like 2 traditional Final Fantasy games, 8 remakes, and then 3 MMOs.
All right.
And
I'll buy
one
them.
Final Fantasy with 2 direct sequels that is not very well liked.
I'm weirdly okay with it.
Slightly.
Yeah, I don't know what you want me to be.
I'm not, but I'm also not going to probably play Final Fantasy
That's
VII remade anyway.
The world
so.
we live.
Oh, see, there you go. That's your problem.
But I agree with you that I have a lot of memories of Final Fantasy VII, and it was my go-to game FAQ's favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
For like 7 or 8 years. I've played it so much I can't see myself being like I want to play this again for just nostalgia and new graphics.
I played it as recently as like 2012, and I still think it holds water.
You think it does? I super
I
don't.
absolutely do. No, I'm on the. I fucking told you, man. I'm in there tooting the horn. I'm ready to go. It's looking awesome. So
I can't wait.
there's also one of the new IPs that was introduced by Sony, developed by the Killzone studio, Horizon. Horizon Zero Dawn is the Dino hunting game.
Yeah, Robot Arc meets what other
Turok.
game?
Heavenly Sword,
Yeah.
Turok.
Mhm.
The other one, Enslaved.
It
I think it looks badass.
Yeah, it does look pretty terrific.
Kind of on board for that
Shoot
game.
the Robo T-Rex in the balls. That's what I remember.
Yeah, she went right
That
for
was the
him.
quote too.
Right at the genitals.
The
That's
guy
the-
got on the intercom and said, "Shoot the T-Rex in the balls," and she's like, "I'll do it. I'll castrate that
I will
T-Rex."
do that. Yes, I
When,
think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer looks awesome, and I'm not trying to put a damper on anybody's enthusiasm
goes.
because it's Guerrilla Games. I'm like a little skeptical because Mercenary. What was the Killzone Shadowfall? That's it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good.
I
I
agree.
didn't play it. I
It
don't
wasn't.
know.
It wasn't very good.
It was
But
all about the visuals of that game, right?
fresh start.
And
This
then
looks
there's, Yep. There's Uncharted 4. Yay.
I can't wait
Woo.
for Uncharted 4. I fucking love Uncharted.
Looks cool.
Yeah. I have no
in.
opinion on Uncharted 4. I have nothing to say about Uncharted 4.
Every Uncharted has been a freaking roller coaster ride. It's like getting little Indiana Jones movies every few.
It is. Yeah, it's fun.
I
I
was
can't
really
be the
hoping
guy who
that.
defends Tomb Raider and then is like, "Oh, I'm not going to play Uncharted 4."
Yeah.
Like,
It was a really good press conference. There was
Sony did
many
pretty
impossible
terrific,
things
yeah.
that they did all at once.
They opened up
I agree.
on
There's no
just
doubt.
the highest of notes, and I mean, they didn't maintain, but they did a pretty damn good job of following it up.
Probably
too.
one of the best ones I've seen in years.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, the Sony press conference I think was out of the console manufacturers at least the best. I've seen a lot of people talking about Bethesda's maybe being like the conference of the show, but I didn't see it, and I don't have that much of a vested interest in Bethesda because I don't have any Fallout experience yet. But Sony, I think, in contrast to Microsoft, they announced what everybody wanted. So they win. At the same time, you don't know if the stuff is necessarily going to be PS4 exclusive. But everyone, when they think of the Final Fantasy VII remake for the next year, is going to associate it with Sony. Everyone's going to associate. What was there was another multi-platform game we were talking about earlier. Horizon is PS4.
No Man's Sky will be PC
Yeah.
and PS4.
Yeah.
but everyone's going to associate it with PS4. It's the same thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
even when we were talking about Destiny, we didn't know that it had come out, or we didn't remember that it didn't, or it had come out on the Xbox One, just because
Yeah.
all the marketing push had been like better on PS4.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So they did a really good job of associating probably the titles that people are most excited about with Sony, as opposed to associating them with PC or Microsoft.
I know the Final Fantasy VII Remake said you can play it first on the PS4, but I'm pretty sure it'll be multi-console afterward.
There's not a lot of developers / publishers that are really willing to go exclusive anymore these days. I don't think. It's just
Dude,
More money, multi-console.
Sony got like exclusivity on Call of Duty map pack somehow.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Well,
What
that's
the
just-
heck is that?
that's just timed
huge.
exclusivity, isn't it?
But that's huge
Yeah,
because that's
it's
what
not-
Xbox used to have.
That's like
timed
the biggest
exclusives.
deal.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna sell a lot more PS4s because how big Call of Duty is. That's
Indeed.
massive.
No, I agree. It's pretty huge. But yeah, that's Sony in a nutshell. They're doing some Project Morpheus stuff. Not a lot of really noteworthy things there. I mean, compared to the HoloLens presentation, I don't think really Sony is really looking to directly compete with that. But Project Morpheus is still in the works.
Dude,
far
No
as
Man's
VR
Sky
is
in
concerned.
VR.
Yeah.
I got my Oculus for that
So you can wander around
Yeah.
and identify plants.
and get
I'm
motion
into it.
sickness.
I'm getting an Oculus for sure, and if I can play No Man's Sky, I'll be real happy.
It'll be pretty good. Next up is EA. And they announced some sports titles.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened at the EA conference. I don't
That was the
remember.
Pele interview, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Pele
oh
out there.
yeah, Hoop God.
He kept making
Oh
appearances.
God!
Pele
Let's be
and
honest,
Hoop
nobody
God.
wants to talk about anything from the EA conference except Battlefront.
Yeah.
Which I
Basically.
heard from people who played it was not very impressive.
Really?
I heard the AT-ATs and stuff are on rails, so you can't actually
shit.
walk around them. I hear that the gameplay is basically more more Battlefield, and there's not a lot of trash NPCs to shoot, which was a lot of the fun of Battlefront, in my opinion. And then there's no space combat, and I hear that the actual X-wings and stuff are really kind of a dick to control. They're not very smooth, so I'm not very excited about it.
I
right
remember
now.
us being very, very skeptical of the actual footage we were seeing.
Yeah, it
of
looked too good to be
Battlefront.
true. The lighting
Oh, yeah.
made no sense. It looked way
Yeah.
too good.
It looked unreal.
Yeah.
And
Unreal Engine.
I think at this point, after Watch Dogs and Dark Souls
Come
2,
on, yeah.
and
Hopefully people are weird.
I hope that people are like, wow, how is it possible that this game looks twice as good as any game I've ever seen? And then that hits the filter that then says it's not.
Nope.
That's not what
They
it's gonna
go,
look
and
like.
the reality is that's why I need to buy whatever they're selling right now.
Yeah.
God.
No, it's not going to look that good. Let's just be a spoiler for everybody right now. If you had any hopes, no, it won't. It
It's
won't
not
look like
good.
that. Not
No,
at all.
not even-
It
close.
will not.
If it does, I will eat my foot. If it looks that good
right.
when it's released.
Hannibal Lecter style.
Yeah, it'll happen.
On Roundtable Podcast.
Yep. But yeah, that really is basically all EA had going for it. They've got they've got Mass Effect Andromeda, which
Where did that
It's
come
like
Yeah.
2017, I think.
yeah, it's I didn't want another Mass Effect game, I don't think.
I
Even
even
though
finished
the-
Mass Effect 3, man.
Well, the ending
I-
of Mass Effect 3 was so wholeheartedly disappointing, but still I
they
wasn't
did it
really
again.
asking for another one.
They did the
I
second
will
ending.
play Mass Effect Andromeda. I have not played any of the earlier Mass Effect games. However, I really liked Inquisition. So
Play Mass Effect 1. It's hard, though, because...
yeah, okay, I'll slot that in right between Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas and etc.
Man.
Just a couple of 300-hour-long games.
Was
to
EA
make
the one that said, let's talk about mobile for a while? And everybody was like, no, let's not. Or was that Ubisoft?
I
thought that was
why
EA
not
with the,
both,
like-
right?
Yeah, why
the
not?
Despicable Me one? Like the
Oh my
Minions.
god, yeah,
Yeah.
the Minions game. I'm like, you're showing this Minions mobile game to an audience that doesn't give
It
a
was-
flying fuck.
Totally like an obligation in some contract. That's all
Yeah,
that
it
was.
had to have been.
Oh, by the way, daring recommendation for him to play the very first Mass Effect game to start with. Oh,
It's-
yeah, that's
right.
Rough
a
gameplay
weird way to
wise.
start it off.
Why not two? Right?
Go
Well, I
from
was
2 to
saying-
1 to 3.
I
That's
was gonna say,
chronologically
play 1
correct.
and 2,
3,
ignore
1.
3.
Two,
Play 1
four.
and 2 and just be happy with how it
Yeah.
ends. There.
So
Oh,
you
and
play
then,
Metal Gear for the MSX, and then you play Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. Then you...
Well, actually, you got to go back to the NES, man.
You really
Play the
don't
original.
know.
You wouldn't know. You didn't have one.
I had an NES. I didn't have an SNES.
Oh, okay.
I will
And then
say, allow me to have my 30-second spiel of nobody respects sports games, and that's stupid because they're actually strategy games, masked
Yeah,
as
we're-
sports
I-
games.
We're,
I-
we're
respect
contractually
It's
obliged to let you
fine.
have that, I guess.
We are.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm excited for NHL 15, well, NHL 16, sorry, because NHL 15 was garbage, and I'm following the league more now. And if NHL 16 is good, I have a vested interest in picking it up. The end. But all they really announced was playoff beards, which is not that big
Wait,
of a selling feature.
Playoff beards?
Yeah,
Playoff
players
it's
are
a
going to grow their
tradition.
beards, man.
When you're in the playoffs, you don't
What?
shave
You didn't know
until
that? Yeah.
until you get knocked out.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah. So they're gonna have realistic beard growth.
That's
I
a
don't care.
really strange feature to
I was going to
announce.
say, yay.
But
They're
hopefully it's
making
just
a
better.
highlight out of that, right? That's a
They-
selling point.
The fact that Ryan
Yes.
knows it is obviously what
They just-
at some point.
They ripped off Witcher 3 with that.
I was just
feature.
going to say that. Oh, man. I'm also realizing I missed out on my perfect opportunity to introduce the Wombo combo quote when we were talking about the fighting games and
Street
esports.
Fighter.
Let's
Yeah.
do it now.
Man.
Killer
Fucking
Instinct
dropped the ball.
coming to PC, actually. There's a Wombo combo and a half in there.
Okay, happy feet. I'm ready for that. And then there was Unravel, the adorable little puzzle platformer thing that EA talked about. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of cute. Yeah, EA is EA. There's no,
Did you
Garden
watch
Warfare
the
2.
yeah. No, I didn't
yeah.
actually see the press conference. I just saw some recap stuff.
It's interesting watching the guy talk about Unravel because like half of it is him talking about his life and like
Oh,
the
no.
emotional things that led him to make that game, and everybody's like he's unraveling on stage.
Don't forget about Mirror's Edge as well.
Oh, yeah,
Mirror's Edge.
that's actually a big
I-
one. Mirror's Edge 2.
Mirror's Edge 2.
Mhm.
I loved Mirror's Edge 1. I loved it a lot. It was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed biting my tongue.
I
I
Andromeda'd
enjoyed
it.
Mirror's Edge quite a bit. It was pretty fantastic.
I really
And
hope it's coming out on PC as well as Xbox.
this
Yeah.
was almost another one of those impossible announcements. Not quite on the same level as backwards compatibility and The Last Guardian showing up again, but Mirror's Edge didn't do that great. It didn't sell a ton of copies. It wasn't a blockbuster hit for EA, but the fact that they recognize that there is quite a fan base around it, people are still playing this, people are still, like there's a pretty avid speedrunning community around Mirror's Edge as well, which is fitting given the nature of the game.
I think it's become kind of like a cult success. And it might be like an actual financial success, but it's one of those games that is kind of had like a long tail. As opposed, like it still is in the public consciousness, whereas you think of like you think of like Syndicate that EA put out like 3 years later, and no one gives a shit about the Syndicate reboot. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to me to announce it, and the writing was on the wall for a long time.
It came out in 2008.
Well,
I can't believe that.
This wasn't the announcement of it. It was announced
Right,
last
yeah.
E3, but I think it's also a goodwill grab in a way. Like people like that franchise, and I think it's their way of saying, "Look, we do care a little bit, so here you go."
we care just enough to keep you
We
on
do
our
care
reins.
a little bit.
Yeah. They don't take any hints from Faith No More. That's a reach of a fucking reference.
That's a great
No,
song.
I like
though.
it. I think
Yeah.
it's valid.
All right.
One of the few songs I could sing in Rock Band.
Yeah, we might have to give you a Faith No More opportunity for next Weird Games theme song today.
No,
Yeah.
please no.
Have we already had you do Bob Dylan?
No, it's doable.
Okay, we can maybe do Bob Dylan. That's a fucking foreshadow. Ubisoft came around and tell me all about it, Mathis.
No, it's just bad. What do you want me to tell you?
I want you to tell me all about it, man. Fucking new South Park RPG, huh?
I'm down for the South Park RPG. Absolutely. I'm
Dude, I
sold on
missed
that.
By Obsidian again?
I think so.
And I know Matt and Trey are back for it, which is great. Even though they said never again, they're back, so that's fine. I'm down for that. But name another announcement at Ubisoft. First of all, the press conference was pretty cringeworthy the whole way through, trying to make that guy a meme or something in the audience.
Dude,
was
I
really
missed
weird.
the whole conference. Paint a picture for me. I want to know.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! So I like Aisha Tyler a lot, but a lot of what she was saying was very cringeworthy. There's a guy dressed up as the main character from the next Assassin's Creed in the audience, who clearly
Nice.
worked for Ubisoft, and she sat next to him, and she's like, "So you're a meme? We're gonna make you a meme?" And the guy was just like, "What is happening right now?"
That's
no.
how memes work, though. You just say them
Super
enough.
awkward. And so the internet blew up of just like, "You want a meme? Here's a meme." It was just like insulting shit all over.
She
the
did
place.
create
So-
a meme just unintentionally.
It is not made by Obsidian. It's made by Ubisoft San Francisco. Also, I don't think it necessarily makes me more skeptical, although Obsidian
No.
has a great
I
track
don't
record.
know why
but
they wouldn't bring Obsidian on again for
because
it.
they're too busy making fat stacks for Pillars of Eternity.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But Ubisoft San Francisco has made Rocksmith and Rocksmith 2014. I don't think that necessarily reflects poorly on their ability to make a South Park RPG. I'm just saying it's not Obsidian.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What else did they show? I mean, they were like fucking hyping the crowd. I'm so sick of Assassin's Creed. Period.
Yeah,
I just
well,
don't
here you go. Assassin's
fucking
Creed
care.
Syndicate
I
coming
just
around the
don't
corner,
care.
man.
They're like, here's some gameplay, and I'm like, it looks like every other Assassin's Creed.
Dude, you
They're
can
like,
shoot the rope and the boxes fall on the guy this time.
oh,
that
shit.
literally happens in Assassin's Creed
I know.
fucking
I know.
China
And then they're like,
Revelations,
you
whatever the
can-
hell it's called.
Chinatown
I made a
Revelations.
video on it. I don't even remember what it's called.
They're like, you can form a
Chronicles?
gang.
Chronicles,
and I'm like,
that's it, yeah.
you form a
Brotherhood.
gang. Yeah, as I say, you do that in Brotherhood. That's not new.
It was in the title.
It was like, come on, it's not new. Stop. Just
This
stop.
isn't a brotherhood. This is a syndicate. They're completely different features.
You can jack carriages this time.
The division, and look, the division looks kind of cool. Though the people who've played it, I've heard mixed things about it so far. Looked neat, and Rainbow Six looked neat. The only parts of those presentations I fucking hated was the scripted commentary the whole
Oh,
time.
I wish they wouldn't do that.
They're like, "This is, hey Henry, are you keeping an eye on him?"
Who's
Yeah,
named
keep an eye
Henry,
on-
first of
Like-
all? Nobody's named Henry anymore.
God, and the
Every
whole
second
Sorry,
NPC.
Henry's out there. That's my bad.
Somebody's
Every
named
second
it.
NPC
Yeah.
in Assassin's Creed Syndicate is named Henry.
I don't know. I just didn't like the way they presented pretty much anything, and none of their games blew me away. So I'm still really, really cautious about the Division. It looked like a cover shooter with loot, and I'm
This
really
is-
nervous.
The
It's not a
presence of
bold
Academy
prediction.
Award nominated Angela Bassett in Rainbow Six Siege. You getting stoked on that?
Her name-
Okay.
She's
I
playing
actually
a character
like-
named Six. And there's so many things that were just like little internet things, like they're doing Charlie's Angels things, like "Good morning, rainbows." Hello, Six.
Hello.
What was you saying, Ryan?
I like Angela Bassett, but how can you get excited about that announcement? It's like, maybe that's the kind of thing that does appeal to investors. They're like, oh, people will be into that, but it doesn't make any sense. No, I would guarantee almost that probably 95% of people that are going to play Rainbow Six could not name a movie that Angela Bassett has been in. I can only name like one movie Angela Bassett has been in. Is The Score. Is the 2001 Edward Norton, Robert De Niro heist movie. It's actually pretty good. But this is not a
I
bold
wanna watch
prediction.
that.
But I really feel like this year we're going to hit peak Ubisoft cynicism. I think it's going to happen. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still on the lift chain, and we're about to reach the apex of the roller coaster.
What-
If Rainbow Six comes out and it sucks, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate is not the rejuvenation of that franchise, and the press completely turns on the Division, I think that they're already like the new EA, but I think it's going to get to the point where it's way too easy to take pot shots at them, and maybe deservedly so. Like they've become the company that people are now like, oh, Ubisoft.
Well, Ubisoft has just become such a parody of itself that I don't even associate the South Park game with them anymore. I think that Obsidian
Yeah.
made that. Ubisoft had absolutely nothing to do with that because it's not a Ubisoft game.
Even if you go back 2 years, you're like, okay, they've got like the Ubi art stuff that's coming out. That's cool, and it still is cool. Stuff like Child of Light and what was the World War I game, Hearts of
Oh yeah, the Valiant Hearts.
Valiant Hearts. That's
Yeah,
it.
mhm.
And South Park was on the horizon, and that turned out to be good. And they still had Rayman, and were not like jerking the developers around so that they could get like a multi-console release on Rayman. And I think people were like, well, Ubisoft comes out with a lot of stuff that's painted with the same brush, but they also have this unique aspect. This year really feels like in 2013 they decided we're going to make every game painted with that same Ubisoft radio towers, radial mini-map that has outposts that you free, and every game is going to be like that. And people are like, I'm so sick of this shit. Like,
I want to see people climbing radio towers in Rainbow Six 3. Whatever the next Rainbow Six is.
I have hope.
That's
for
gonna
Rainbow
be a
Six.
multiplayer mode of like radio tower climbing, man. That's totally gonna happen.
That would be a good parody mobile game, actually, for them to make to become self-aware. here's our radio tower climbing game, and it's just people climbing up towers.
Well, that's
It's an
like
endless
a
climber.
Yeah, exactly.
Call it Tower Heist. The
Well,
game.
wasn't that Grow Home? Grow Home was all climbing, wasn't it?
Yeah, they weren't radio towers. Those are clearly
That's
different.
No, they were radio towers. They just didn't look like them.
And that's why I feel bad shitting on Ubisoft, because they do come out with the Ubi art stuff is cool. Like again, Grow Home and the other games that were mentioned earlier are cool, and Rayman Legends and Rayman Origins are both amazing.
Yeah.
But their huge tentpole stuff is just becoming like, this is a Ubisoft game. It's like, you know, when you watch a Marvel movie, it's a Marvel movie, but there's still not like 8 Marvel movies a year
Yeah,
yet.
the radio towers are Stan Lee.
Yeah,
That's wow. There you go. Break that down to a
Assassin's Creed
science.
Syndicate, like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, better fucking work when it launches.
Oh,
Like, it's
please give me
better.
invisible faces with teeth lips and powdered wigs. I want it so bad. Give it to me.
I want them to
But-
introduce that in like the first cutscene just as a joke, and then
I know.
actually have it play.
No, he
through
takes
the
his
entire
face
time.
off. He's like, actually, I do have a face. It was just
I
silly.
mean, they have a long like if they're looking for Syndicate to rejuvenate that franchise, all the gameplay they've shown looks copy pasted from every Assassin's Creed game ever
Yeah.
made. It does not look new, except for that one guy who got pounded by the pulverizer. Basically, the
Oh,
entire
yeah, that was great.
pretty
I-
cool.
It was like, how is he? All right, well, is he still? He's still there. All right,
Yeah.
he's dead. So that better work. Outside of it, though, the gameplay looks stale as shit. I feel like Rainbow Six is gonna be fun. It's gonna be like it's gonna have the evolve problem though, where it's only gonna be fun if you're playing with friends, because playing with a bunch of randoms probably going to be a nightmare because it's gonna need you need a lot of strategy to get through these levels.
I don't understand what you need to have a successful multiplayer game anymore, and I mean that sincerely.
No, I don't either. I don't. Dota, lol. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, but you can't make another MOBA because
No, you can't.
You'll go out of business, and you can't make an MMO because it'll be $1 billion, and it'll be free to play in 6 months. And you can't make a shooter. You can't make something asymmetrical because nobody wants to be the one person who doesn't get to talk to their friends. And you can't make it. You can't focus on the multiplayer and not come out with a single player campaign because then people are going to lose confidence in the product, not buy it, and the player base isn't going to be there. So I don't understand at this point what you have to do to make a successful multiplayer.
Yo, I would say Titanfall would have been an amazing game if they had even like a 6-hour single-player campaign to go along with it. The multiplayer in that game worked well. I liked it. It just got stale quick.
I feel
Titanfall's
like-
still doing well is the thing.
Yeah, I think it
People
is.
talk
Yeah, I
about
think
Titanfall
you're right.
like it completely died. There's still thousands of people playing Titanfall.
It's just not like
What it was
didn't
supposed to be.
become the franchise opportunity that people assumed it would be because it was coming from the
X Call of Duty.
thank you,
yeah,
the X Infinity Ward guys.
Yeah.
But I really feel like if the game had a single player, it would make the multiplayer better because it wouldn't be as hard to convince people to buy it and play
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What if it came out as an expansion pack that you could buy separately?
I think people would
Too
be
little,
like,
too late.
why didn't you include it on the disc?
Yeah.
Now we have to buy our single player campaigns.
Well, then they released the gold version that has a single player in it too.
I think they would come across as a little tone deaf.
Too little, too late too.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's too little, too late for it to be an enormous, like, continuing, enduring success. I think, but
Yeah.
Bit of a shame, isn't it?
No one's even addressed the fact that it exists for years. So I think,
Right.
I think it's well past its prime. That's for damn sure.
And then you got The Division, which just looks like the presentation was how to troll your friends the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, they got that For Honor game. It's the
Was there gameplay shown of that though? I don't
There
think
was.
there
Yeah, there
a
was.
little bit. Yeah, it's like a chivalry style brawler. I think just focusing on
right.
there's different eras of combatants that go in. Like,
that's cool. Like, at least
Yeah.
it's not just another.
No, I'm
first-person-
with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
But didn't it seem kind of close to the Deadliest Warrior type presentation, where it's just like here's a bunch of eras fighting it out?
yeah.
I feel like, and I mean no disrespect to Torn Banner, I feel like Ubisoft with their resources could make that game better. Even though I really like Chivalry and Deadliest Warrior.
I was really hoping they'd add more eras to Deadliest Warrior and just have it keep like expanding and getting sillier and sillier.
We kind of expected that, didn't we? I thought that was kind of going to be the premise they set for Deadliest Warrior.
Yeah, doesn't seem like they did much.
Yeah. But yeah,
Not saying
For
it's
Honor
bad.
is,
It was a lot of fun.
now, For Honor is something that I think may try to address the fact that Ubisoft has kind of gotten themselves into a rut. And, I mean, obviously, they're not really even making it a focal point, which it would be kind of dangerous for them to do anyway. And it's kind of in the same realm of the games that Ryan was talking about, where they do put these things out, but they never really try to lay their claim to it. They don't put the Ubisoft name at the forefront of Valiant Hearts. They let a plane pass overhead that's really loud first. and then they continue speaking. That's usually what happens. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't make those what Ubisoft is about, which is kind of understandable considering the fact that they have cash cows that they're still trying to milk.
Yeah.
More or less.
Well, I don't know. They're probably financially doing fine, I'm assuming, but people, at least on the internet, are going to get to the point where they're like, I don't want to play any Ubisoft games because they're all the same. Like, I really feel like they made a terrible design decision that probably seemed right 2 or 3 years ago. They're like, well, people are really enamored with this kind of like this Far Cry 3 formula that we have, or this Assassin's Creed 2 formula that we have. We're going to like put that design philosophy into every game.
Which I think it works. It works super well in Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4.
Yes,
if you didn't
I
take it out of
agree with
those
that.
games, then they're fantastic elements of those games. But they just
I agree with that 100%.
they just can't
I'm-
copy paste it across all of those.
Yeah, I'm
different
with you. I think
series.
the thought process was like, yo, people love this shit. Let's just
Yeah.
put it in everything.
Yeah.
The idea that like this is an objectively engaging game design philosophy that we're going to apply to everything and it'll make everything better. It kind of reeks of like game design by marketing committee basically, instead of
Yeah.
like, you know, this is what our game should have. It's like, this is what'll make our game sell more.
Yeah.
And I don't like to, you know, making video games is a business. And there's a lot of intersections between great games, and it, not even necessarily original games, but like great games and great successes. It just sucks that all the Ubisoft stuff, or at least a lot of those franchises, feel super samey. Even like, who was telling us, I think it was one of you that was saying that the Crew
Yeah, I
has,
said
yeah,
that.
that was Mathis was saying
Yeah.
the Crew has radio towers you basically drive to unlock parts of the map.
Yep.
I really want you to just. I've said this before, but I'd like for you to have to drive physically up the tower to be able to get to the top of it.
Shoot a grappling hook, pull your car up.
Look, dude,
like-
fucking Batmobile has a grappling hook that you spider car in the new Batman game.
Are
So-
there radio towers in Batman? Because I thought I heard
No,
that.
no,
Oh,
not that I've come across yet anyway.
damn it.
All right, and that
Develop
brings
Ryan.
us.
Oh, go ahead.
That's it. That
We can circle
brings us
jerk
to
over
the.
that all day.
Yeah, we really could. Nintendo would be the final big presentation of
Fucking
E3.
disappointment that was. Too.
Yeah, you are the one that I think.
Bitches of the most.
I wasn't gonna phrase it like that, but tell me
Dude,
what
me
happened
and
with
Mathis
Nintendo,
could be
man.
interchangeable. I just bite my tongue. That's all.
Yeah, no.
I don't. I'm like, this fucking sucks. It's stupid.
No,
Stop.
you're not the only one. I want to be fair about that. I think a lot of people were pretty disappointed in Nintendo this year.
And I'll be clear. I think it's one of the best E3s we've had in a very long time.
Absolutely.
They're just, like I was saying on Twitter, it just makes the sucky conferences that much more sucky.
Mm-hmm.
When you're like, this has been great. Oh, this is shit. But
Well, the
Nintendo
best thing that
announced
came out of Nintendo was Mario Maker, pretty much.
Mario
right?
Maker, and they were like, also next year we're going to talk about our new console. It's like,
Yeah.
Mario Maker wasn't an
Are you fucking
announcement,
serious?
though. We've known about Mario Maker
Yeah.
for like 2 years.
Yeah.
we
It
saw
did
Star
look
Fox.
great, though.
Star Fox looks fucking awful.
You
It
thought
looks-
it looked fucking awful?
It
I
looked-
just thought it looked
I-
okay.
It looked like, what is it? It's taking place side by side with like Star Fox 64 storyline wise, I guess. It looked terrible. I thought it looked bad.
Just the
You can turn off
screenshots
the
alone,
gyro.
they are
Yeah, true.
not really doing a great job of selling it.
The puppets were great. I really enjoyed the puppetry. It was awesome.
Not really a good point.
I'm definitely gonna get that Pokemon, that weird Pokemon S game for the 3DS. Something
Oh,
Watch.
fucking Yokai Watch.
I want Yokai Watch.
Yo, Yokai Watch is like, I'm Hero from Heroes. I've seen the future because in Japan, Yokai Watch is everywhere. You'd go like into the store and be like, #1 seller, Yokai Watch. #2 seller, Yokai Watch, the prequel. Like that is going to, if it
Right.
has the same crossover success, it will take over. It will be like Pokemon
like
2000 all
Pokemon.
over again.
I will
Yeah.
buy it. That's the thing. I'm gonna buy it.
Game
But outside of that,
Loves it.
like what the fuck, man? There was like, we got a new console coming out next year. No, we're not gonna talk about Zelda. You want Metroid? Here's that a sequel to that really shitty multiplayer Metroid we released for the
Hurt
DS
my
a
heart.
long time ago. Oh, also Star Fox. It was bad.
As a massive Metroid fan, to have put the Echoes Prime logo on that just hurt.
Oh man,
It's like
it
you couldn't have given us a real Metroid, and you also scorned the title on top of it.
Metroid Prime Federation Force.
it sounds like a Saturday morning cartoon.
It really
I mean,
does.
Welcome to the Federation
You
Force.
you play as mechs, and you like shoot nets at stuff. There's loadouts. it's
Metroid
multiplayer
Armored
centric.
Core, man. Don't you want that sequel?
Well, they called them mechs. They didn't look like mechs. They just looked like power armor.
It looked
I think
bad.
we can all agree that the time is right. Having made a bunch of 2D Marios in the modern era, and one 2D Zelda, like A Link Between Worlds, is very evocative of A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Why not bring back that like Super Nintendo Metroid?
Yo, they did with other.
You're right.
kind
That
of-
would be fantastic. Wow.
It feels like since the Game Boy Advance, they've just kind of been like, okay, the 2D era of video games is done for Metroid.
Who wants that Metroid game they announced? Because everybody that knows about Metroid knows a better era of Metroid than this. The people that are being presented to it are going, what is this series? This looks like shit. Right? So who wins in this situation, marketing-wise and as a final retail release? Nobody.
You have no hope for Metroid Prime Federation Force.
No.
Even if I did, it's not a Metroid game, so why do I care? Don't put the Metroid name on non-Metroid games.
It was like,
Mario
what was the name of
Tennis
the-
is not really a Mario game.
I'm in though, all in.
Well, what was the name of the other multiplayer Metroid game that came out on the DS? Because that was
Hunters.
awful. Yeah,
Hunters.
Metroid Prime Hunters was fucking horrendous. I don't expect this to be any good.
It's not like it even looked good graphically either, so like I don't know what you wanted to like market there.
I don't want a mobile multiplayer shooter. I don't want a
Yeah, kind of at all.
DS-focused multiplayer shooter.
They're awkward to play. They don't feel very fun. I don't have anybody to play them with. Well, me personally, anyway. I have no hype for that. They did announce another Zelda, though.
Yeah,
Zelda
I mean,
with
Yeah.
multiplayer.
Yeah, they did.
You can only go 3 tall, though. 4 is asking too much.
Isn't it the Hyrule Warriors like DS
It's
version? It's not like a
Triforce
No,
Heroes on the 3DS.
totem time, man.
Triforce Heroes is a different one. They're also bringing Hyrule Warriors over to the DS as well.
Oh,
right?
okay. Nice.
Okay.
They're doing
Yeah.
both. It's a new. I mean, Mario Maker, Super Mario Maker is going to be awesome. I'm really excited for that. But outside
the footage
of
of that looked amazing.
Yeah.
outside of that, I don't like. Nintendo was just like, yo, we got a new console coming. I know the Wii U is still kind of new, but next year, man, Nintendo NX.
They
That's
went
what we're going to
through-
talk
They
about.
went through showing almost nothing for Wii U, and then they're like, look, Animal Crossing. Wait, it's Animal Crossing
The
Party
board
game.
game, yeah. Fuck.
Like,
Oh man,
Animal Crossing fans must have been so pissed about
I
that.
was pissed. I wanted it. I
They-
freaked out on Twitter.
That was almost the theme for their show this year:
Yeah.
is take beloved franchises
And
and,
honey dick you
slap
over
their
them.
labels on shitty party games.
They had such a strong year
Amiibo
within like
Party,
the last
too.
year and a half.
Yeah.
Like Mario Kart 8 was so amazing, and A Link
Bayonetta
Between Worlds
2 and-
was awesome. Yeah,
Hyrule
Bayonetta
Warriors
2,
was pretty fantastic.
We're going back to 2013 a little bit. No,
Mario
it was the
3D
yeah, it was
World.
2013. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Super Mario 3D World and
Was
forget.
Nintendo Land was probably a little bit before. that,
Nintendo
right?
Land was 2012.
Yeah.
Not only was the Animal Crossing a board game, it was Animal Crossing Amiibo Party. So, like, let's make a game focused on
Fuck
things
me.
you can't get your hands on.
This is ridiculous. They
It's
blew
working
their
well.
load, man. They blew their load last year, and they had nothing on, on deck.
I would probably be a little bit less mad if they didn't announce that next year they're going to talk about their new console already.
Well, so does this tell you that since they have very little to show, are they just really done with the Wii U now?
It sounds like they are. If they're going to talk about their new console next E3,
Yeah,
Does that not
especially
sound
if they're
like they're gonna be
alluding
like,
to the fact that they're going to be talking about that new console next year. That does kind of seem like a play of.
So 3-year console
Investment.
cycle?
Yeah.
It's not that crazy.
No?
It does seem fast, but the Wii U came out in 2012. If they announce it and it comes out that holiday season next year, that'll still be a 4-year console life cycle, which
still kind of short.
it's kind of short, but before the 360 and the PS3 era, we were looking at like 5-year console lifespans. So it's not like it's unprecedented.
All right, I hear you.
But it seems ridiculous because the last generation of consoles lasted so long. And
it was
this one
10 or 11
might
years.
as well, or maybe it won't. I don't know.
Well, and also this year they have like nothing coming out, so it feels like a
don't-
year had already ended.
I don't think Nintendo's going to put enough pressure unless this new console is. I don't even know what I could expect from it to make it revolutionary to the point of pushing Sony and Microsoft to want
New
to compete.
GameCube. It's just
Oh,
a
there it
standard
is.
controller.
I feel
That's
like
all it
maybe
is.
maybe they almost have to make a new console because the Wii U just didn't sell well. Like,
It,
I wonder-
well, it was like dead in the water, and then it wasn't.
Yeah,
but was
like-
it too late at that point? Like, I don't even know.
I don't know. I feel like Nintendo has had a. I can't speak financially speaking, but at least in terms of how it looks like they've been doing, it seems like they've been doing a lot better in 2014 than they were doing in 2013. where
Games
there
wise,
was
you're no
nothing.
doubt. No doubt
Yeah.
the games have been great. I mean, I own more Wii U games than I own PS4 games by like triple.
Mm.
But I'm curious financially if they almost have to, but it still sucks. Like they
But
still
what
have
is-
a Zelda coming out for the Wii U that we
There
didn't
is
see
a
any
Zelda
footage yet.
coming
Yeah,
out
they
for the-
didn't talk anything about it.
But it's coming out. Like,
Yeah. It has
I
to.
wouldn't be surprised if they end up doing like a
The
if they
split
announce
launch.
a console. Yeah, exactly. If they announce another console next year, I wouldn't be surprised to see that the new Zelda is for the NX, as it's code worded, and the Wii U at the same time. They do
That
that
was-
a lot.
Yeah. They did that with the Twilight Princess.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't say a lot, but they've done it before.
What if they position themselves in such a way that they just didn't have enough third-party support, and then with the controller, it's just like people weren't that interested in getting on board, and then maybe it wasn't selling the way they wanted it, so they just said, let's scrap it and start over.
That's
I
possible.
also
man.
wouldn't be surprised to just see them come out with a Wii U that is cheaper as a decision to try to get it into more homes. Maybe it doesn't come with the gamepad controller. Maybe it just comes with like a pro controller. Or
I'm
something
really
like
just
that.
surprised that doesn't already exist. The fact that they don't
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
Wii U without the gamepad. You would. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't really even have much.
He
of a selling
trades their
point there.
philosophy to do that.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's not exactly like an Xbox Arcade Edition where you can really just like remove a non-critical component.
I think you could completely navigate the Wii U as is without the gamepad, though.
Oh, yeah, it's entirely possible. It's just not what they want. It's not what they want. It's probably not even what a consumer of the Wii U wants. Somebody that's looking to buy the Wii U, I think, has at least a fragment of an idea in mind of being able to utilize the functionality of the gamepad.
If they
a
wanted to,
certain
though, they
degree.
could do a firmware patch that's like, hey, all you need is the Pro, and you're
Yeah.
good. There's very little they need to change UI-wise to make it just completely not necessary, which I would be so thankful if they did that.
Yeah.
I feel like if they announce a new console next year and it doesn't come out until 2017, like the holidays maybe of 2017, that seems like a totally realistic time frame for a console lifespan for me. I mean, that would make us right now like halfway through its lifespan. It's not like it's on the horizon that it's ending. It's
Yeah.
just,
But it's
we're
already in
halfway.
people's minds, which is half the problem. If you
Well-
put it in people's minds, they're going to think about it. you
And
know?
momentum-wise, it didn't really start out of the gate with a ton of great support. It took a little while to ramp up, so it's like they didn't have a lot of support at the beginning or at the end. There was just in the middle somewhere, a nice
But-
sweet spot.
I think it's a foregone conclusion for now that they're probably the only people making really consistently good games for the Wii U anyway. So
All right.
it might not matter to them if they're like third-party support seems like a really weird thing. And 2 years ago, this is all everybody was talking about. It's like, oh, the Wii U doesn't have any third-party support. Now, like, there's a ton of third-party support on Xbox One and PS4, but nobody cares about anything except for exclusives. At least people that we talk to, because everybody has a PC that is capable of playing most stuff anyway, even if not on the newest settings. Which is probably a generalization. Not everybody does have a gaming PC, but that's the way it seems sometimes. So I don't know. Maybe third-party support isn't important anymore for a console's success if you are making consistently good stuff like Nintendo is.
It helps kind of obfuscate the fact that you're just releasing the same bunch of IPs over and over again when there's at least a bunch of other stuff to break it up.
I will agree with that, and also that if that's the thing that they're going to do, they could afford to go a more fan servicey route and be like, this is a new Metroid that people want, or like, this is the new Star Fox that people want, et cetera, et cetera.
Instead of the shitty one that we tried to push out on you, this is the one that we
Everybody
actually
got
should
what
have
they
made.
wanted, except
Yeah.
for Metroid fans. So,
But if you like amiibos, boy howdy, have you got yourself a stellar year.
No. Now I'm just stressed out because it's like a bajillion amiibos that I want that I'll never get.
They even
Because you
ruined that
can't
for
get 'em.
you.
I can't because they
Oh,
don't
man.
produce enough of them. They're like, we're gonna make this one amiibo. We made 5 of them. Good luck.
We made 5.
and 4 of them didn't go to America.
Yeah.
And
Those
the
yarn, those
truck with
woolly
one
wosh,
got hijacked.
Yeah.
those yarn woolly Yoshis, man. Those things are gonna be impossible to get.
Amiibos will become currency in about 45 years, honestly.
I can't wait.
Dude, are you bothered at all by the fact that there's content locked on some games, but they're really hard to get the amiibos that unlock them? So it's like on disc DLC that you can't get?
Kind of. I mean, at the same time, like the content that they're locking is not like imperative to the game. It's all like bonus.
All right,
stuff.
but like they had costumes and stuff in Street Fighter before, and now they've done that in Splatoon. Nobody seems to care.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, the thing is, the Splatoon content isn't really meant to be, on this DLC locked until you pay more for it. I think the Splatoon content was more along the lines of they want to release the content interstitially to kind of artificially elongate the lifespan of the game, which
Okay.
isn't as blatantly evil, but is... Well, I don't even think it's necessarily evil. I think it's just... a weird perspective to have on a game. It's like they think that they'll need to do this in order to make this game successful, as opposed to Splatoon just kind of resting on its laurels of being a good concept and a good game in its own right.
But you can't like get that content any other way, as far as I'm aware, right?
No,
you
I
have
don't
to buy
think
the
so,
amiibo.
yeah.
I agree in principle with you, Nick, where like I don't mind if they put the DLC or the content, to avoid using a loaded word.
Yeah.
I don't mind if they put it on the amiibos. It would be nice if it was for sale as well at a cheaper rate for everybody.
Because I've heard people talking about what if they make amiibo tokens that you can use to unlock DLC, but they aren't actually statuettes. And it's like, now how far are we going to go to make excuses? That seems a little silly.
Now, what if you put the amiibo token into the disk drive of your console and then it played a video game? Has anyone
right.
thought of this novel idea?
All right, let's back up. That was genius, what I just heard.
The phrase amiibo tokens just makes me mad. I don't even know why. I can't explain
Imagine
it.
carrying around a keychain full of amiibo tokens,
Ugh.
jangling it around.
Oh, and
Kill
then
me.
somebody's just walking around with like a reader. They're scanning all your
Disney
shit.
Infinity has these tokens. They're called power discs,
Yeah.
friends.
Of course they are.
Those exist.
I
All
want
right, well, that's the future of gaming, I guess. So,
yeah, welcome to Nintendo.
Thanks a lot, Skylanders.
I mean,
Dude, the
for real, though.
Skylanders amiibos, I'm probably going to buy it.
I think
the crossover.
we basically structured an entire industry around Skylanders.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, but I bought into it.
All right.
I don't think there's
He's got
anything
the
wrong with
evidence
it, like-
for yeah.
Yeah, I think amiibos are kind of neat. I pretty much got to the point where I was like, wait, people are spending like all this time trying to avoid paying an extra like $10 per amiibo. They're gonna like wake up at 4 a.m. and drive 2 cities over to Target and get in line to save
Spend that money on
$15
gas.
in the reseller market. I'm like, okay, this is not for me, but it's kind of cool. I like that they're scarce because it gives me news to read. If they were just everywhere, then I'd just be like,
The
I like the
fanaticism is
scares
pretty
too, because
weird.
then I can be like, I've got one of the rare ones.
that's true. Yeah.
Well, that I think is going to wrap up our E3 recap. So,
Do we want to talk about the PC conference?
There's nothing to talk about
Okay.
really. I
How
think.
bad it was? I mean, other than that.
I
could do
heard
with-
nothing from it. So
Gears
that
of the
might be-
Storm expansion finally out.
Woohoo!
Not yet, but soon.
It could do with being a lot shorter.
Yeah.
And well, I have two problems with the PC conference. It was too long, and it was marketed as like the PC's version of the big conferences, but they didn't do anything in the way of major announcements. Like, which is fine. Conversational, casual tone is cool, but people are watching this like, oh, what are they? They're going to announce like some huge shit because they announce huge shit at every other one, and then it would be day
I got
9.
baited. I got
Yeah.
baited hard.
Day 9 is like, well, tell me about like the gun mechanics, and then they'd talk for like 2 minutes about the gun mechanics, and you're like, we don't. This is E3. We want trailers and promises and.
No,
then-
tell me more about the
Got
graphics cards.
Cliffy B and a butt divot.
Exactly.
I want more butt divots.
Now, is that a statue of the Lost behind you?
Oh yeah, fan mail. She sent me
wow.
it's a plushie.
That's cool.
That's,
That's
neat.
pretty
Yeah, it's
sweet.
cool. Has 9 lives and holy mantle
Oh,
around
that's
his neck.
cool.
I thought it was awesome.
All right, you have a decent
Nice
shot.
touch.
Yeah, you might make it. Assuming you don't fuck it up. So I think it's obligatory that we do our winners. So we'll go around the round table in a square. And I want to start with Nick arbitrarily.
Obviously, for me, Sony, huge. Maybe one of the best ones that I've seen in all years. Microsoft was fine. Bethesda was definitely quite good. And Nintendo was maybe the second worst I've ever seen, aside from that Microsoft one we were talking about.
All right. Ryan.
I can't disagree. The Sony conference was the best. I think. Well, I was going to come over the top and say that anybody who thinks that either the Sony or Bethesda conferences weren't the best is being blinded a little bit. But I'll just say that I think Sony was the best.
All right. Mathis.
Sony was the best, with Bethesda at a close second, and Nintendo or Ubisoft really tied for being terrible.
I'm going to pull a wild card on you and go with EA here. I think EA really hit it out of the park this year. I'm
You can't even
bullshitting
keep a
now.
straight face.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
you
can't
couldn't do it.
do that. No, I think
Try
it's
that.
pretty clear Sony and Bethesda were a 1-2 punch this year with everybody else falling short. So, good job, Sony. We like you.
Fun E3.
Well, for now,
It was
temporarily.
a good E3. Yeah.
I think
Lots
last
of
year,
games.
really, they won pretty handily, too, honestly. But yeah,
The only thing that's stupid last year was they spent like 30 minutes talking about television, and people were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, don't do
Oh
that."
yeah.
It really did feel.
Hey,
It
definitely
really
don't do
did
that
feel
again.
like this
Okay,
year
cool.
nobody talked about TV, and
Yeah.
you're like, "That's a really
Well,
good
they
start."
talked about it a
They
little
did
bit.
just very, very quickly.
Yeah.
It was over in like 2 minutes.
They had to shove it in there, and then they quickly ran away from it.
Shove it in and pull it out real quick.
We got
That's
it
right.
around.
That's the
Like-
strategy.
Slams,
No wiggling.
slams,
That's dangerous.
Shoot.
No,
something
what
like
you
that.
do is you
Exactly.
soak it. You soak it in there for a little
Not everybody's
while.
familiar with that term.
No, I guess not. If you are, let me know. Give me a little wink. On to the games we're going to be talking about today. You Must Build a Boat. This isn't a game I'm talking about. I'm literally giving you instruction. You need to go build a boat.
Specifically, you.
Torrential rains
Right
are
away.
coming.
We'll be here. We'll wait.
You Must
Get
Build a
Emma
Boat
Watson.
is you guess you'd call it a sequel, right? The sequel to 10 Million. Developed by
Spiritual.
88 Games. You could always call it a spiritual successor and probably get away with it. Nobody's ever going to question you on that. Very much the same style as 10 Million, a little bit more RPG elements associated with it now. You Must Build a Boat is a match 3 game that puts you in the shoes of a man who must build a boat, shockingly enough. You do that by acquiring new crew as you go through these various dungeons, matching 3 to either attack, to cast spells, to gain stats, to gain strength, to gain different currencies, I guess you would say, and to unlock chests. And as you progress, you unlock more tiles that you can utilize throughout the dungeons. And I think we're all having a pretty damn good time with it.
Love it.
I like it a lot.
Incredibly
not-
addictive.
Fundamentally opposed to playing casual games, I think it is one of the best casual games I've ever played. But there are people out there who are like, well, it's just a mobile match 3 game on PC. Like, I could get this on my phone. Like,
You
okay.
probably can, yeah.
I
like,
did. I got it on my phone, actually.
there you go. That's fine. Don't play it, but it doesn't make it a bad game. It's a really good game. It just happens to have a conceit that some people write off easily. In many ways, I would say You Must Build a Boat is the sports and or racing game of last week.
It's
It
fun
fell
for the
apart.
first 20 minutes, the cute characters, the concept of building a boat. There is a fucking Tim and Eric Dr. Brule reference in this Steam review.
Is it the top review?
It's one of the top reviews, but it's one of the
Okay.
not recommended top reviews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
see.
like that a lot. I just had to address that for a second. No, but I really like the RPG elements they've introduced. I never played 10 Million. I don't know if there's a lot of like progression inherently built into 10 Million. Is that not really the
There is
case?
progression, but this does it so much better, and so there's
Yeah.
so much more progression in this one.
Yeah,
It's very satisfying. The game is just satisfying to play.
Yeah.
The difference is in 10 million, you always stay in the same position, and what's changing is very, very minor. In this one, it's actually you're going up a river, and there's actually different areas, so to speak, and a lot more diversity in the types of upgrades you can get. Whereas in the other one, it was just like maybe 5 or 6 NPCs you kept talking to.
I really like the acquisition of health, or not health, but it's I guess they call it mind and strength units,
Right.
where
Yeah.
you need to acquire those things in order to either unlock different upgrades. There's like permanent upgrades you can unlock, like you get something like 10% extra time to disarm traps, or you get more damage to your spells or stuff like that. You can unlock the different monsters that you come across through the experience. But it's I think it's quite a simple endeavor that is executed quite well, which is something that I have to commend people for. Is just they had an idea and they did it extraordinarily well, and that alone is enough to justify a pretty damn good experience. Not that long. You're probably going to run maybe I don't know. You'd probably say like 4 or 5 hours would get you through the entire game, or maybe a little bit longer.
Terrible
than that.
like me, and you can't see the match threes.
Yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. I suck so much at it.
I'm pretty good
freeze
at
up.
it. It's about 5 hours, I think. I'm about at the last area, unless there's more that I haven't seen yet. But as far as the map goes,
I
But
know I harp on this so much, but reading through the negative reviews and seeing like it's a $5 game on Steam, $5.50 Canadian, I guess, but $5 US is what I'm guessing. People have like 9.1 hours not recommended. What? I mean, you could actually beat the game, admittedly, and not have a fun time with it. I've done that before, but it's like bad review, 9.1 hours, bad review, 8.8 hours, bad review, 10.4 hours. Like,
they just left it open overnight. They wanted to
my
get the Steam
God.
trading cards out.
There's a
Possible.
positive Steam review that is SpongeBob SquarePants theme song parody for the game.
yeah, I saw that one too.
must build a boat.
That's terrific.
Dude, that's what you're gonna sing today, Ryan. The SpongeBob theme.
Oh, yeah.
How do you guys know more about SpongeBob than I do?
I don't know.
Nick's weird games.
I probably know
Nick's
way
weird
too much
games.
about SpongeBob for a grown man. Yeah, it's only
It's fair.
$5, and it's terrific. So we
Yeah, it's really good if you like Match 3. There's hands down, go buy it. It's fun.
It's not going to change your life, but it's a lot of fun.
Exactly.
there's a Steam sales quote for you right there. I could probably use that.
Well, the only way it'll change your life is if you had something to do that day. You might not do it because it's incredibly addictive.
It's
wouldn't
actually
go
a
that
really
far.
good instructional game on how to build a boat too. So if you're looking for that, there's definitely some value to it there.
One of the reviews I saw that was negative that I actually agree with is you don't build a boat. The boat builds itself.
The boat builds
It might
you.
seem like a bit of a minor complaint, but I can understand being like, oh, I got bait and switched a little bit there. You don't build a boat. It would be cool if you could you could build your own boat.
Yeah, like
I
Fallout
have
4 style. You got to build a
one little
foundation to a boat.
complaint.
Let's not go that far.
I'm kind of curious if you guys are with me on this one. I find the UI on the boat to be kind of confusing once you've summoned about 100 monsters. Like, you don't know who to click on anymore for what.
Oh yeah, I wish they would have like a little sign above their heads or something that reminds you of what it is that
Yeah.
they do. That would be nice.
Like, you summon probably realistically like 35, 40 monsters throughout the whole game, and then they just kind of show up all over the boat. And you still talk to the same NPCs, but eventually they're just everywhere. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
small gripe, but it did kind of bug me a little bit.
Next one, I think $5 for You Must Build a Boat though. Or
Certainly worth the
Thumbs up.
$5, no doubt.
Enter the Gungeon. Published by Devolver Digital, developed by Dodge Roll, who are the same developers behind Fork Parker's Holiday Profit Hike, if you were invested in that one. It's a gunfight dungeon crawler, a little bit of roguelikeness to it, if I'm permitted to use the term in this circumstance.
Permission
As
granted.
the
All right.
emperor of roguelites, I grant you the permission to use the term.
Thank you, sir. I haven't actually had a chance to play it, so I want you guys to tell me all about it.
I have. How many hours have I put into it so far?
Let's not brag. It's a good game.
Are you ashamed of how much time you put in, Nick?
It's a lot of hours. I really,
Probably more than
really
me,
like
then.
this game.
Oh, I want to hear the number.
I don't know. I'm not looking it up.
Oh,
Look
But-
it up.
No, not
Tell
doing
me.
it.
What?
It's
I have
a
almost
really
4
good
hours.
takes
in it.
2.5 seconds, man.
Nope, can't do it.
Oh,
It's really good. I mean, apparently it's still far out, but it's really
If I was
good.
the developer
I
of
don't know.
Gungeon and this guy had played the game for like 12 hours but wouldn't tell people, I would be mad. He's like, I don't want people to know how much I like this game.
It's actually made me go back because it's not finished yet, and I'm not getting the full experience. It's made me go back and play more Nuclear Throne.
oh,
Yeah,
I saw you play a
it's-
Nuclear Throne.
Okay.
It's so
Yeah.
good that it's taking you to other games just by
I know.
virtue of it.
yeah.
Well, I really want Enter the Gungeon to be out because I can see like the potential there. It's really good as it is right now, and once the mechanics are fully implemented, like the random bosses instead of playing the same boss over and over again, and the floor layouts being a little bit different because I'm noticing the first floor tends to be one of 2 or 3 different layouts for the most part.
Right.
And the fact that I still played it for like 4 hours and still enjoying it, even going through very repetitious kind of levels, speaks a lot to it. Are all 200 some odd guns implemented already, or no? I'm still running across new
There's
guns all the
a
time.
lot.
Yeah,
There are a lot of
I didn't
guns.
count them, but there's probably over 100 in it right now.
yeah. It's
I
really
played
good.
4 hours so far, and
So you don't have the
pretty
same amount of time in you.
Yeah, I pretty much agree that it's shaping up to be really, really good. But I would have a lot more time in it, so maybe in a way I'm actually happy that it's like this. But like you said, the demo's a little too structured. First world tends to follow exactly the same layout most of the time, and all the bosses are always the same. Once they add in a variety of bosses, and maybe a little bit more like, it seems like the loot drops are varied, but not
The pools are too
super-
small.
Yeah, the
Yep.
pools, you tend to get a lot of the same weapons over and over right now. But once that's fixed, well, not fixed, but once it's implemented, this is going to be a game that's really, really easy to lose a lot of time in.
I don't even know that necessarily the complaints or criticisms that we have are not implemented or specifically are designed the way to be that they are right now because it's a demo.
course, yeah.
Like, they want this to structure itself a certain way so people see it that way every time. And once we get down the line, another few months, I imagine this stuff's all going to wrap up really nicely. So potential-wise, it's like top tier for me.
Right, and there's very few games where you get like an E3 demo. Like you've done demos at PAX or other events, and you're like, okay, at the end of half an hour, do I want to play through this half-hour demo again? Usually the answer is no, even if it's good because you've already seen it. But even though it's semi-handholdy and structured in Enter the Gungeon, the variety is already there. Where you're like, even though this is intended for like 20-minute bursts, like I've played that 20-minute burst like 12 times, so yeah, it's good.
The guns are really fun. The combat's really responsive. It's very satisfying to kill enemies. It's very satisfying to get around a hail of bullets that you're like, oh, I'm going to get fucking hit, but you just squeak by. It's good. It's just really
What I
fun.
like about it in particular is that it's not just like a reskinned Isaac. Like a lot of roguelites that come out are like reskinned Isaac. A Wizard's Lizard is kind of a reskinned Isaac. You know, Our Darker Purpose is kind of a reskinned Isaac. Not that that was the first game that ever did this stuff, but you know, it's the most recent touchstone.
Most successful, probably.
Similarly, it's not just a reskin Nuclear Throne. Nuclear Throne has those, it has passive upgrades, basically. Like, the mutations that you can get are just, maybe not just as valuable, but they're very valuable, as are the guns that you pick up. Whereas Gungeon is pretty much like no passive items, or very few passive items. It's all about the equipment that you actually hold. And it creates kind of a cool strategic element as well, where you're like, well, I have a great weapon with no bullets left in it, and then another weapon shows up that is worse but has full ammo, and you're like, well, is it worth... I could get more ammo for my gun that's good at some point, but maybe it's worth getting rid of it right now. Like, maybe I need this gun right now. I have to get rid of the gun that's actually better. So you kind of like... You take steps forward and back in terms of your abilities at all time, which I think is really cool.
And yeah, there is quite a bit of depth. There's like statues, a variety of different ones you can sacrifice guns or health to give you. One of them gives you like an all stats upgrade or full health plus some armor. One of them actually lets you reroll a gun, which is pretty sweet. And I don't know if it works within the pools or not. So you might be able to actually like trade a crossbow for something that's like higher tier. But I'm very interested to see what other kind of different event elements show up in the game further on, or even where the structure of the game goes beyond the floor that I got to, which was floor 3. I don't know where the end is. It could be very long. It might not be.
They told us at PAX East that the average run was intended. I mean, this is a work in progress, and this was like 3 months ago, but the average run was intended to be like 2.5 hours, somewhere in there. So that's probably about 3 times as long as your average Isaac run.
Pretty serious time commitment to put in for a run. I hope you can save and resume then.
It seems more like it's got the scope of like an FTL as opposed to an Isaac. Nuclear Throne is like 20 minutes, so
I'm kind of into that, actually.
Much slower than that.
Put in more time, you get more invested in the character, and then, you know, it's more rewarding when you finish if you do.
I also like I think the dodge roll giving you so many invincibility frames is really smart because it allows you to play super aggressively. And I think it allows them to make the game look more impressive as well because they can put so much shit on the screen. And if you just dodge roll like into it, then it doesn't actually contribute to that much of a difficulty spike. So it really looks impressive in motion. And I don't know, like I don't have a frame counter when I'm playing the game, but it really feels like it runs in 60.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it feels really smooth. I don't know. Like I'm really excited for this. I was excited for it as one of the games in 2015 that I was likely to do a series on, and even though it's supposed to come out in 2016 now, it's still like it looks good for being so far out, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Do
you guys see the boss on 3? Sorry.
I didn't know.
It's freaking Bullet Hell Nightmare World. It's so fucking awesome. Sorry.
Do you guys expect an early access release for it, or do you think they'll hold off until it's finished?
I think they're going to hold off until it comes out, which even though I love Nuclear Throne, that's my preferred release for games like this because it means that all of the like intended mysteries and strategic depth is kind of concealed until it actually comes out. So, you know, it's like if Rebirth had an early access release, by the time it came out, there would be people who were like, well, here's how you win every game. Yeah. Basically.
Right. And you'd be burned out by it too, which I'd rather we not be.
I came across one. So you guys, I'm assuming you have, but come across like the cracked wall that you can shoot wide open.
Yeah.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, there are secret
That's the only
rooms.
secret I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, like Nick was talking about with like the statues in the demo, it's actually possible to get a glimpse of the strategy. Like I was my roguelite like analysis engine was starting to do like the flow chart of like, okay, so you have like a gun, you exhaust all the ammo, bring it to the statue, sacrifice it for like full health, and like there's some cool stuff. I can really start to see the strategic kind of depth in it already.
And matching,
it looks
keeping
good.
your health or using it earlier on, waiting until after the boss to do a thing, doing it beforehand.
Absolutely.
Certain items out of the shop.
And the addition of teleporters is really smart.
Yes.
Because the floors are huge.
It wouldn't work as well in Isaac because I think it makes sense that there's like spikes on the ground that you should have a chance to walk over, and it only takes you like a minute to walk from one end of a floor to another in Isaac. But in Gungeon, where it's a lot larger, the teleporters are very nice.
Enter the Gungeon 2016 is the tentative release date. Maybe later this year, but I wouldn't expect it. 2016 is more
So
likely.
excited to play more.
And that is it. We're going to roll on into Nick's Weird Games. We've got the new format going strong, which none of us have garnered a point thus far, but hopefully maybe one day that'll change.
You got a chance today.
I hope
Oh,
so. I'm going to go ahead and ask for that Bob Dylan rendition.
All right.
All right. I wish you luck.
Early one morning, Nick was rising. We were sitting in chairs, waiting for Nick's weird game to come and raise all our hairs. He's coming back with a classic title no one is aware. Could be from the Dreamcast, or maybe something weirder than that. Yeah, Bob Dylan. Nick is taking a long-ass time to bring it back.
That
to
was
the
an
table.
exceptionally long Nick's Weird Games theme song, yeah.
I like
Oh,
doing
it's
Bob
taking
Dylan for
a
everybody
long
to know.
ass time.
You missed the rare rhyming opportunity for the
Oh,
rare
yeah.
replay, but
You gotta write down. I wanted some James Taylor one day.
oh yeah, you got to come up with some ideas, man.
Just
we got to keep
write
it
your
fresh.
list. Start it
No,
up.
I need to.
Mm-hmm.
All
What we
right.
got?
So today's game is a PS2 game.
All right.
We're gonna say it
Dirge
is
of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII.
no.
Ooh, damn, he got it.
It is a survival horror game.
Resident Evil 4.
Nope. It is developed by Punchline. Has anyone heard of Punchline?
Punchline.
No.
No, I don't think so.
It is published by Atlas in North
Oh,
America.
fucking always with
Yep.
the Atlas games.
Look, I'm
Obscure?
kind of an Atlas
He's
fanboy.
got an
No, it's not
entire
obscure.
section of a shelf that's just all Atlas published.
This game, when it was released to mixed reviews, and I will read the back. So, it is set in 1930s England. A story too cruel, too beautiful to go untold. I feel like Mathis has a decent chance of knowing this one. All right. This game follows the terrifying tale of a young girl, Jennifer, who wanders unknowingly into a bizarre world not governed by rational adults, but by misguided children. I'm going to stop there.
Oh
Rose.
no.
Keep going.
Oh fuck! I know the game. I know what game you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but you got to know the title, man.
Oh god, what's her name? Rose, right?
You're onto something. I just don't want to spoil it yet.
Oh fuck! If I don't know it
You
now,
gotta
He's
get a
knocking
point,
shit
man.
over.
Come
He's so
on.
freaked out. You got to earn this, man.
fuck. I don't remember.
Come on, dude.
Do I just give it to
You're
him?
playing
'Cause
for the
he's close.
team right now. I don't even care about the competitive aspect. I just want one of us to get a point.
Assume the role of Jennifer, and with the help of her loyal dog Brown, escape
Yep.
the clutches of
And
the
kids are
aristocrats
fucking
of the
weird,
Red
and they
Crayon.
like bury her alive sometimes, and like it's really
They
fucking bizarre.
pretty often do bury her alive. They
Oh
put
my
water
god,
on
you know
her
what? I
sometimes.
think I actually know what game this is.
The game, packed with shocking mysteries waiting to be unraveled, will challenge your nerves and wits like never before.
This sounds familiar now. I think
Pretty
I've
sure I've
seen
given
this
you
game
enough.
played. Oh no. Feel free to leave a comment down below, by the way. Play along if you know the game.
I think this
Nah,
one, out of the group that I've covered, like this probably has a little bit more of a following than some of the other ones do.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty damn
I looked
sure
it
I've
up
actually
and
seen this
no.
played.
You're gonna say no.
I looked it up, and I'm going to say no, this does
Hang
not
on, hang
have
on.
more of a following.
Rose. Rose is in the title. Tell me that much.
It is. Yeah.
Something.
I think that's a point, honestly. I think we got to give
think
it
so?
to
Rule
that
of Rose.
stage.
There
Rule
it
of
is.
Rose. Rule of
Oh,
Rose.
Yeah,
my
my point.
goodness.
There we go.
Rule of
Well
Rose.
done.
Got it.
That's
Rule
correct.
of Rose, wow.
There it is.
I remember
Bro,
this,
that
actually.
game was fucking weird. I remember that game too. The
Alright.
dog
Wow.
can find items for you and stuff, and
Yeah,
it's
it's like
weird.
Twilight Princess.
We did it!
Exactly.
We got a
win.
point!
I got a point.
You won a game.
Maybe we should just be a team of three, honestly.
Yes.
You
Instead
are.
of competing
Yeah.
against each other, maybe we all just...
3 versus me.
Yeah.
Ryan
alright,
has
we'll
not
do that.
contributed, all right?
Maybe if you would stop taking Atlas games from
We're going to have
2006
to have a no
that were
Atlas
released.
rule at some point.
Dude, that's
Yeah.
when I built my catalog. Is 2000.
game- The game was universally panned. It was a universally panned Atlas
I
game.
don't think it was.
He
Okay,
said
here's
it
the
was
Wikipedia
mixed critical
article.
reception.
The game was panned. Is what Wikipedia says the game was panned.
No, Wikipedia says garnered mixed reviews. I'm looking at that right now.
A three...
Rule of Rose garnered mixed reviews. Reaction to the story, music, and horror elements was universally positive, while the gameplay was panned.
All right, that doesn't translate to the whole game being panned,
It's
though.
a 59 on Metacritic, so it is
That's
definitely...
a panning, if you ask me.
Oh, that's mixed.
Yeah, Trey pan.
59 on Metacritic for games, especially the games industry in 2006, is not mixed. That
Electric
is
Playground
panned.
gave it a 7.
So you want me to give you easy games from now on, and then you'll get them?
No.
Well, I did just games that are not completely forgotten.
All right.
I think
I
Rule of
remember
Rose
it.
was kind of up there. Yeah, I think Rule of Rose
And
is
Bear had an idea.
some
I'm quite happy
notoriety
with
to
my
it.
selection, honestly.
I am too, Nick.
Thank you.
Good job.
Edge magazine echoes my sentiment. It's just a murky brew of meaningless exploitative dysfunction, filling an empty game, and it leaves a bitter taste.
Describing Al Camilla right now, basically. My God.
Thanks for watching this episode of the Roundtable Podcast. Subscribe and download the show on iTunes. Leave a rating there, 5 stars, or whatever you want to rate the show, honestly. If you feel
Only
like...
5 stars count. It's like restaurants. If you don't rate us 5 stars, it doesn't count.
Yeah, literally means nothing. That honestly is true for a lot of different rating systems. Also, twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast. We did the live coverage of the E3 press conferences this time around. What the fuck is happening today?
They rerouted all the planes.
Like 6 airplanes going right over my house. Twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast will be live there, ideally.
Next Tuesday.
No, it's not going to happen. I'm going to be in a truck moving across the country.
Oh, you're moving, so we might still do something, though. We can
Yeah,
still
you
do
guys,
something.
if you want to try to put something together, that might happen.
Is there a game conference happening next week? We can just
Ideally,
restream?
that would happen too, yeah. So,
While you do the thank yous, though, I'm going to get paper towels because I did spill something.
oh, cool, okay. Also, twitter.com/roundtablepc if you want to get updates. We tend to tweet if we are not planning on doing something on schedules, so there's that. Definitely want to follow up with that. And patreon.com/roundtable if you even want to pledge us $1 a month. It does go a long way. We're hovering around the 200 patron mark again, so we would love it if you could potentially contribute there. Thank you very much to patrons for this month, and to Mathis for doing the paper towel dance as we read them off. Is Max Pillen, Garrett Stewart at Grizzlies Review, Christopher Flagg, General Crunk, Kevin, Calvin Walker, Alexander Spillman, Jonathan Graham, Jeff Rush, Robert, David Bradley, Vaxid, Matt, Julian Abelsgard, Hired Help, Caspian Crawdad, Kevin Birkland, Casey, Connor Littlewood, Rumble Muffin, Maximilian Messerschmidt, Simurfet, Logan Ray, Ignacio0891, A1 Base, Vasco, HD Weiss, David Taraoka, The Deacon, Mr. Scribe Monkey, Christopher Kuo, Will Vanderkooy, Modest Ponin, Hunter DeLacy, Nemeth, Rhiannon, OIC Mudkips, Demius, Jabonus, Christopher Farmer, Garju, Batman 9502, Kaj, Starcopper, Eroticals, Andrew James Schmidt, Vandervet, Grace Card, Peter R., Michael Gilbert, Unix 388, Sebastian Eorga, John Morrison, Michael Gray, Justin, Positron, Brizzlebrip, Saint City Riot, Scott Cullen, Musk of DP, Jesse Warburton, Jonathan Bloodworth, Andy, Josh Vedris, Dan Giesling, Alex Carbajal, Diplodocus, Jason McCoy, Zealous Compassion, Hero Alato, yeah, the guy that bit my tongue, CHXB, Yackers, Jonathan Collins, Pile of Bunnies, Solon Carter, Dragon Slayer Doppelganger, J. Kyle Pittman, Fred Durst, Michael Schwader, Andreas Dimebacher, Doylam, Suicide Printing, Z-Mod, Wolves at My Door, Tobias the Scarecrow, Eric Heinrichs, Dylan Cage, Tobias Klaus, Demigod247, Chris Remichi, Grimbo, Chris Bunch, Graham Alarton, Will Bailey, Kelp Herder, that's probably how that's pronounced, Sam B, Titan, Luke Jen, JH, Paul, Nathan Wood, Chris Davies, Konstantinos Cheldanis, Jose Estrada, Benjamin Mickelson, Jordan Yarandi Sebastian Morin, Barcelo, Cooper Winans, Marvin Pitch, The Outlacock, Julian W, Dudoc22, Jackakar, Doug Rivette, Hammerschnitz, Tom Reese, and Big D Docking Dude. And apologies to all the names that I probably butchered as I was going through that list. We'll be back, the Roundtable Podcast, on the 10th of July. Already into the midway point of the year.
Wow.
Man. Holy shit.
10th
That's
of
crazy.
July.
10th of July is when the next one's going to be.
So we record that on the 7th.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, cool.
Way to
I'll be
give
here.
away the recording schedule, man. Jeez, we had it as a secret
Sorry.
this entire time.
Just want to make sure I'm going to be here for that.
Yeah, we want to remind you luck is a skill that you have to learn. And we'll see you next time on the Roundtable Podcast.
Later.
Thank you.
everybody.
Goodbye.
This podcast is entirely listener supported. To consider making any sort of contribution, large or small, visit patreon.com/roundtable.